Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, almost every day, the Trump administration does something that requires a frame of reference to understand. Tariffs, bombings, dictator interventions, on and on. The American news industry is supposed to explain important stories to we the people who might not understand what the deuce is going on. Nicolas Maduro? Isn't he a shortstop for the Yankees? It is unrealistic to think that regular folks can process complicated stories thousands of miles away. The media is mandated to help the people understand by reporting facts. But that is not what is happening in America. Ideology, not fact-finding, is driving many in the press. In addition, a lot of reporters and pundits simply do not know very much. In short, they're not smart enough to do their jobs. President Trump removed the dictator Maduro the exact same way President Bush the Elder took out Panamanian dictator Noriega in 1989. Did you hear that referenced in the news, especially the first couple of days? Not very much. And that is why the media is collapsing. The purveyors simply do not know very much about history, and they don't care. Back in a moment. By now, you've probably heard about All Family Pharmacy. They're fast, reliable, and committed to getting you the medications you need without the runaround. When everyone around you is sick and you know you have to be prepared, or when you don't want to wait in line for maintenance meds, you absolutely need All Family Pharmacy. They've got antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin. Order online at allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
No shortage of madness and actually a couple of good things here and there to keep track of. So we've got you covered here today. Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. We are halfway there. All right. The drama that keeps unfolding in Minnesota could be just a preview of what's going to happen around the country. I don't know. I hope not. But can you imagine this? Those left-wing protesters doubling down and saying things like, no, you don't have a right to a peaceful church service. Not if we've got something to say. Well, our good friend Tony Kinnett from the Tony Kinnett podcast, if you haven't subscribed, I really recommend that you do. And, of course, from the Daily Signal as well, was on with us on Tuesday, giving his thoughts on not just that, but on the potential criminal charges that could be coming their way.
I'm not convinced that the protesters were, in all seriousness, worried about winning people's hearts and minds over. This is as much intimidation as it is anything else, especially when you heard that discussion that Keith Ellison had with Don Lemon's podcast saying, hey, this is just what you got to get used to. They've got a right to come barge into anything they want. That's the First Amendment.
Well, I mean, they also asked the leader of the protester, the protests, we want to call it maybe riots, break and enterers, whatever. The ask this leader of her, what do you thought? Well, maybe did you go a little too far? She says, oh, wait, hang on a second here. I'm gonna push back. We're not in a place where we're we're not going to apologize for anything. They're intimidating children.
Right.
Then, when you break into a church and scream and threaten people and make children cry, which according to the testimonies from those there, made the children or made the protesters or the other children more upset to see children terrified of them. I'm going to be honest with you. This is why you're armed in church. This is why you have a church security team. They should never have gotten past the front door. Seriously, this is why I am more adamant than anyone about having a church security team. This is why. They shouldn't have. I'm sorry, Don Lemon doesn't get to come in your church. You don't need to trespass. I mean, you can come in as a visitor and sit in the pew quietly. Or if you're in a rowdier church, sitting there, amen, hoot and holler, that's fine. But when you intimidate like that, I think that the full book should be thrown at these people. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you're looking at the typical church around the country. We've got, Sanctity of Life Sunday coming up here. Well, there was Sanctity of Life Sunday. There's a different pro-life Sunday coming up here. And it's not just about ICE. Whatever the issue is, the message has just been sent because these playbooks are looked at on social media, and you've got every radical group everywhere saying, ooh, a lot of these churches are defenseless. Half of their attendees are senior citizens. We can just swarm them. There's not a darn thing they can do about it. And that's the risk, because that's the clarion call that could be being sent out right now from Minnesota.
I think that what you're going to see here in a couple of weeks is another attempt at doing this by the left. And what's going to end up is something that's going to be violent. And that's going to be a really ugly moment, because then the media will come out and say, well, you didn't actually know what they were going to do going in, but someone will get a little nervous, and then shots will go off, or someone will get hit with a crowbar or something, and then that will be that. And I'm not saying that in a way that I look forward to it. It's a terrible and awful thing, but we are careening so quickly towards a point of violence because of all of this rampant gaslighting from the media. Well, it was really just a protest. They were just expressing their First Amendment right. If you even looked cross-eyed at Raphael Warnock, who pretends to be a reverend down in Georgia, you get called a racist and anti-Christian and anti-church and all this other nonsense. You can storm a church in Minneapolis because your methed out cousin believes the pastor looks a little like an ICE agent, and it's totally fine. Don Lemon then gets to say like and subscribes at the end of it. I'm serious. I've never wanted to punch that man more.
Yeah.
I mean, he's harassed this pastor. He's gotten in his face. The pastor said, leave, please leave. And then Don turns to the camera and goes, like and subscribe for more. I wanted to see him punched in the face in that moment. I don't care if that's not decent. That's how I feel.
No, let's just clarify. Let's use this tactic. You want him punched in the face in good Christian love.
Of course, absolutely. I wanted to be in that moment. I wanted to be Peter. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I just wanted to say that man had too many ears. You feel me? A little gospel retribution there.
Yeah, that's a great reference
from your friendly Hoosier. Again, I know in St. Louis that has a different term, but I'm a little prouder than some mornings.
I imagine so. Yeah, that was congratulate. And I grew up in Illinois, so it's hard for me to say congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. But you know what? They broke through, and all of the football factory schools, they're not the champion this year. So credit where credit's due on that.
Thanks. Another hypothetical win for the SEC.
That's right. We're visiting with Tony Kinnett, Tony Kinnett Podcast. You can obviously check him out at the Daily Signal as well. So, Tony, let's talk about, the use of the violence obviously is spreading, even when there are deaths on the side of the left. And,
right.
I don't think.
That fuels them.
Exactly. That's where I'm going. I think, it looks like Harmeet Dillon is not messing around. It looks like they're taking Todd Blanche is not messing around. There's going to be prosecution. What they're going to get as far as a judge in the state or federal court in Minnesota remains to be seen. But when you see the aggressiveness that's happening, are they just counting on our side saying, well, I don't want to escalate. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to complain about them in social media posts or on talk radio shows.
I am still very hesitant here to say that, we're going to see Harmeet Dillon, I know, wants to do this. You're right. Again, Todd Blanche wants to do this. But Mike, you and I know that Pam Bondi, for whatever reason, she's just disappointing. She's disappointing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, I have faith that Pam Bondi is going to come. They can't even get a freaking jury to indict Letitia James. They can't even find one. She's committed the most blatant act of acts of mortgage fraud we've ever seen. They can't even get a jury to indict her. So, what in the world is Pam Bondi doing? Seriously, at some point, you're going to have to ask, Christy Noam probably needs to step aside so Tom Homan can run the DHS, so we don't have all of these Barbie, she was a domestic terrorist press conferences that hurt more than they help about Renee Good. And at some point, we also need probably someone other than Pam Bondi who's willing to actually go in there with a strong reputation and not, again, play Barbie. I'm sorry. I'm just not impressed. Bondi if she needs to step aside and we need somebody better, then so be it. I'm tired of sitting here and going, gee, I sure hope they're indicted. They terrorized a church. This should be like not how likely is it he's going to be indicted. It should be how much is he going to be strung up in town square? How much tar and feathers are we getting out of the sore closet?
Yeah, and what's really pathetic is the Attorney General Keith Ellison goes on, of all people's, Don Lemon's podcast or his video show or his Zoom call or whatever it was, and basically says, well, you just got to get used to it. And that's the mindset that we're dealing with, which is why, I'm on your side on the camp here is you've got to be prepared, and you want your church to be as welcoming as possible. You want the weirdo stranger to come in and sit down and learn something or talk to you about it, but you have to be ready to get physical if this is the new tactic.
Well, and I'll say this, Mike, because absolutely, of course, the first and foremost purpose of the church is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. But of course, taking care of the people in the pews is something that also needs to be looked at. But I'll say this because there was a comment over on the Rumble side of things. I think that's a pretty good one. It said the left wants the right to get violent. I think there's an element of truth to that. I think that the left wants the right to get violent in the manner they do. Riots and mobs in the streets. What the left doesn't want is for, we've had all this goofiness, now dad comes home. What the left does not want is for the right to bring dad home and say, all right, these are the rules. I'm going to enforce this with the belt. I don't care. I'm not here for your sorry, sad show. I'm not here to goof around with this nonsense any longer. We're going to deal with it. We're going to put up with it once and for all. We're done. That, I think, is what the left doesn't want, because that actually provides stability. In the midterms, I'm sorry, what we need is some stability. And that's only going to come when you have someone who comes in and enforces the rules.
Tony, what's going to be the short-term fallout from this mob that went into this church, a church that nobody had ever heard of before this past weekend? There's the short-term. Like I said, there are a lot of people who are scratching their heads going, boy, they didn't think that one through. Everybody hates them. I don't think they care that everybody hates them. What's the short-term ripple effect that we need to be aware of? Because when you're looking right at that, there's usually something on the flank that we're missing.
So I would say that the first thing you need to keep an eye out for is all of the politicians that are going to attempt to use this as a manner of discrediting journalists. They're going to say Trump's going after the journalists. Trump's trying to do a Jimmy Kimmel again. They're going to go after him because once Trump stops tweeting about Greenland, he is going to focus on this a little bit more. He is very distracted with Greenland right now. I've probably never seen Trump as attracted by the key jangling as this particular moment. But this is, once Trump gets done with that, this is going to be probably at the forefront of his attention. And that means the media is going to rally behind Don Lemon, which is, disgusting and sad and awkward, but there you go. I'd look for this happening again. I know that's not necessarily the fringe, but I do think that it is worth looking at seeing again. I think that we are looking at a moment in the next couple of days where we are one riot short of the National Guard, either being federalized, or I know there's a couple of paratrooper teams on standby in various cold states. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and this is the type of thing we look back to other leftist violence, including that started out in Minnesota. It doesn't take long for that to spread into other cities. We know that all too well here in St. Louis.
I mean, I'm going to say right now, I think we reduce Minnesota back to territory status. We strip their statehood from them. We give that to Alberta. We take that from Canada. The Indiana of the North gets brought down because, Canada's busy going to the communists, literally. And then also, if we're talking big national policy, take Don Lemon into the ricketiest catapult you can find, put that on Coney Island and launch it east. That's what I think. Just launch him. Full goofy yell, yahoo, into the Atlantic, get rid of him.
Well, he doesn't have any wind resistance. There's nothing there. So
he'll sail a while. Yeah, maybe get hit by an American Airlines flight heading to London. Who knows?
Maybe.
One can hope.
All right. Tony, obviously, Tony Kennett podcast, Tony Kennett Show coming up today, Daily Signal as well. What are we, I'm sure you're addressing this later on today, but what else you got your eye on right now?
I'm keeping an eye on some of this federal court justice stuff that's starting to concern me a little bit. There are some shenanigans that are coming down the line regarding some of the benches in the Midwest that again, I mean, I know Brandon Gill in Congress is, filing articles of impeachment, but if they don't get a hold on some of the rogue judiciary at some point, it's going to be a really rough couple of years.
Yeah, really is. By the way, I saw a political cartoon of somebody taking away a plate of food from President Trump and saying, no, you can't have your Greenland. You're not done with your Venezuela yet.
I love both. I think that the more that I watch this, with Trump sharing the private text from Macron, I think that's a bit of a trap for him. We'll have to see what he does with it.
All right, don't forget, we got Flashback Friday coming your way here, and get us your 80s bump music requests ASAP. Just email those right to Jerome, or you can post them on social media. We'll try our best to watch out for those. All right, got some thoughts on anything that's happening? Well, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking to David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Show Me Institute, tell Chris and I about Waymo, these robo-taxis.
That is pretty obvious that these cars are much safer than human-driven cars. And much like I like horses, I like humans.
Dave, my God, man, they're killing cats.
I'm not an expert, but I do believe in the history of America that probably some human driving a car has also run over a cat.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
So I guess the protesters were out around town again yesterday?
Allegedly.
That's what I've heard. It's kind of funny. I'm looking at some of the news articles, and one of them said dozens of protesters.
how 2 is technically dozens. 2 dozens.
2 yeah, 24 is technically, which, that's accurate on it. And then you mentioned this as I was getting ready to leave yesterday. You mentioned that there was supposed to be a 2 p.m. walkout. So did that turn out to be a thing? Because I was busy doing, stuff.
Well, but I left here around 2 p.m., so I guess I technically walked out as well. But no, even going around the area, it didn't seem like I could identify any large groups. So I reached out to some people I know that are in Kentucky and Illinois and some other places. There was a little small sort of thing in Illinois, but it was nowhere near this grandiose thing that these social media videos were calling for.
Right. And I know there was a protest in, I think it was in Troy, but that had to do with a proposed data center, had nothing to do with the political stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's just people when the county council, the city council, or wherever it was, they're going to walk it, they're going to see us. Okay, well, that's actually what it's for. That's the idea. That's very hyper local. But yeah, I get, and it wasn't against anything in particular. It's just we don't like Donald Trump, I think, is what it was. And then one of the articles that one radical who keeps popping up and quoted in the paper, we're talking about the Communist and Socialist Libertarian Party, or not Libertarian, Socialist Liberation, whatever woman. She's like, we're going to keep doing this. And my reaction was, well, okay, that's you do you, boo, whatever. I mean, whatever you say. I mean, that's fine. Looks like they all behave themselves and they just exercise their First Amendment right to, to protest and speak out against the government. I don't know that there was really a coherent message as to what they were angry about. Just sort of, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore, which, you know what, that's covered under the First Amendment. You get to say it. You get to do it.
Yeah, that's what's, I think, becoming quite a joke regarding a lot of these calls to action is that it seems any opportunity for them to do something with the idea that the only thing they have to say is we don't like President Trump. But so I actually went to a few of the early No Kings ones just to see what they actually believe, what they're mad about. There are no policy proposals that they're mad about. There are no executive orders besides maybe some of the trans ones that were day one sort of things. But it's really just comes down to, we want everyone to know we don't like President Trump. And it's well, how many times can you show up somewhere and say the same thing and still expect to be taken seriously? Yeah,
and for the most part, now we've had some of the protesters cross the line and violate people's rights and block traffic and obviously get violent back. But in these recent rounds of the protests that we're seeing, for the most part, give credit where credit's due. They've been peaceful. They've had their signs, they've had flags, they've gone on overpasses, they've lined streets, they've been on the sidewalks. They've done it the way you're supposed to do it. So okay, whatever. I can agree with you or disagree with you or laugh at you or flip you off or whatever. I've got my right to respond how I want or to not respond. So I guess they did their thing. I guess. I mean, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I was not receiving any messages from anybody that I know keeps an eye on these things saying anything remotely exciting. Even one of the people, and again, I don't even know if this was due to the walkout or whatever anything else was, but one of my associates in Illinois that went to this little group gathering, and they were like, there's not even any video to record worth even presenting. So. Well,
and that's the thing is there wasn't any buzz over it, but think about if you're a boss. You're a manager, you're the manager there at the accounting firm, or you're there at the warehouse or at the restaurant, and your employees are like, we're making a stand, boss. We're walking out. Get your ass back to work. Make your stand when you're not on the clock.
And with how viral some of the videos for the walkout specifically got and all the comments saying we will do our part and all that, I have to imagine that after about an hour when 2 p.m. hit, and Margaret's not back from her lunch break, and they're finally like, wait, where'd the HR lady go?
Right.
Everything's so quiet in here. There's nobody making a ruckus, and I can't imagine any productivity dropped at any of these places.
I don't think, I think the threat of it and the promise of it probably ended up getting more headlines and social media clicks than the actual stuff.
Yeah, I mean, slacktivism, it seems to be, that's what it is. It's easy to be an activist and make your voice heard when you don't actually have to leave your basement.
Right, yeah, a little keyboard warrior stuff going on. Okay, so I've got this in the news dump. I kind of want to jump the gun a little bit on this. A former St. Louis Cardinal gets the call. Ooh. Now, if you're not a baseball guy, when I say the call, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Carlos Beltran, who was an outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals for 2 seasons. He was an all-star both of those seasons. he got the call from Cooperstown. He is being enshrined. He's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, of course, these guys know about when the calls are going to be made, so they kind of sit there with their families and friends and just kind of wait. And a camera was rolling when Carlos Beltran got the call from Cooperstown. Here's what happened.
Hello, Carlos.
Yes, John, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm here with a few folks who wanted to say hello.
Carlos, this is Jack O'Connell with Baseball Writers Association of America.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Calling you from Cooperstown. Baseball writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame.
I literally got chills just now, but then again, that's how much of a baseball geek I actually am. I literally had the chills go up down my spine because I really am that nerdy about this stuff.
We'll get you there eventually, Mike.
That's like why I can't watch the movie The Rookie anymore with Dennis Quaid. You know, I'm like, he did it when he was 35. Maybe there's a team that wants a catcher in the major leagues of a guy who's 54 and is blind in one eye. Maybe if Dennis Quaid can do it, maybe I can do it.
I mean, I saw Moneyball, and I understand that we'll just have to figure out like your data and what position specifically, just to put you in the outfield somewhere where the ball never gets hit.
That actually was a great movie.
Oh, I loved it. It was fantastic.
It was more fictional than it was factual, but it was a really good movie.
Yeah, it got me interested in learning a lot more about data science and how to identify unseen values and stuff. So even if it was fictional, it had a real world effect on me.
It did. Well, and that guy Billy Bean's gone on to phenomenal success, being GMs of other sports and other teams and things like that. But hey, I'm still playing, I mean, we'll tell you about it next week, but I'm actually going to be gone a little bit next week because I will be playing baseball. As well. So I'm not letting up on that. But anyway, so congratulations to Carlos Beltran, one of only two who were elected to the Hall of Fame. He and Andrew Jones, of course, longtime Atlanta Braves outfielder. That was it. Just two guys this year. That was it. And Carlos Beltran played for like 7 or 8 teams, but he started his career in Kansas City. He was here for a couple of years, but finally elected. This was his 9th year of eligibility. So he only had 1 year left, and after that, he would have been ineligible.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
This holiday season, bring the taste of Italy into your home. At Di Gregorio's, we've been helping St. Louis families celebrate around the table for over 50 years. From imported wines, olive oils, and cheeses to gourmet pastas, sauces, and specialty holiday favorites like panettone and torrone. Our Italian gift baskets make the season easy and unforgettable. You'll find everything you need to make the holidays special. Experience a little bit of Italy right here in St. Louis. Di Gregorio's Italian Market. Visit us at digregoriofoods.com.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
You have the right to know. The right to know about culture. The right to know about the economy. The right to know about technology and to know about sports. You have the right to know about education and politics and the weather. You have the right to know what's happening abroad and in your backyard. But above all else, you have the right to know that this right is under attack, and we must work to protect it. Because in order to be free, we must be informed. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Amid all of the gloom and doom predictions for NATO in the midst of the Greenland controversy, White House correspondent Greg Clarkson says President Trump has arrived at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, confident that all will be well.
The president's wish to control Greenland is threatening the decades-old Western alliance. European leaders are upset about Donald Trump's push to seize the Danish territory. Many fear the dispute could tear NATO apart. Before leaving Washington for Switzerland, however, the president said a plan will be worked out that will make all sides happy.
Mr. Trump's arrival at the summit was delayed by a few hours. A minor electrical issue aboard Air Force One forced a return to Joint Base Andrews. The president then boarded a replacement aircraft and off he went. From the Great Lakes to the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and some points south, the weather is looking sort of dicey into the upcoming weekend.
The National Weather Service warned of great swaths of heavy snow, sleet, and treacherous freezing rains starting Friday in much of the nation's midsection and then shifting toward the East Coast through Sunday. Temperatures will be slow to warm in many areas, meaning ice that forms on roads and sidewalks might stick around, forecasters say. The exact timing of the approaching storm and where it's headed remained uncertain. Keith Peters, Washington.
Federal prosecutors have reportedly served a half-dozen grand jury subpoenas to Minneapolis officials and Minnesota officials, including Governor Tim Walz, part of an investigation into whether they have obstructed or impeded the enforcement of federal immigration law. The subpoenas, which seek records, were also sent to the offices of State Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, and St. Paul Mayor Coley Herr. On Wall Street this morning, following yesterday's big sell-off, stock futures modestly higher. The Dow futures trading about 11 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth. Your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good, casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
At 420, we speak with Zach Smith from the Heritage Foundation. We'll talk about oral arguments in Trump's push to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Susie Moore.
Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, it looks like Minnesota's top elected officials, I can't say that word, messed around, and they're about to find out.
Yes. Maffo.
That's right, they maffoed, and they're in the faux part of maffoed.
Mm-hmm. They sure are.
That doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
No.
It just doesn't. Okay, also, we have an update on that winter storm that's moving towards the area here as well. The forecasts are changing a little bit, but they're still not quite sure what's going to happen. So I've said keep an eye on it, but don't freak out. Okay, so we'll get to that. And a former Cardinal gets the call from the Hall. It happened. All right, 6:06. Let's go ahead and dig into things with the news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, so the Justice Department has served several Minnesota lawmakers, including statewide officials, with subpoenas, and that's accusing them of conspiracy to block ICE operations, among other things. This is in the wake of the protest in response to, of course, some of those ICE-involved shootings. FBI Director Kash Patel was on Fox's Hannity, and he says that the agency is being equipped to carrying out the mission.
No one, elected official, private citizen, or otherwise, gets to impede and obstruct a law enforcement investigation. No one.
And, of course, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey is accusing the federal government of trying to incite things. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is among those who's being subpoenaed, and he's basically doing the tough guy. You don't scare me kind of stuff right now.
Bully for him.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out because there's also going to be investigations into the whole fraud thing as well.
There's three different levels of what's going on here. You got the fraud stuff, which was the initiating stuff. You've got the immigration enforcement stuff, which, of course, spiraled out of control because of the Renee Good shooting. And then you've got the conspiracy against rights stuff, which was the protest at the church.
The invasion of the church.
The invasion of the church. So there's three different potential avenues of criminal investigation here.
Yeah, and part of that, we're going to talk to RedState's Brad Slager at 7:35. And then as far as these investigations and subpoenas, we're going to talk to Michael Neal from Landmark Legal Foundation at 8:05.
Okay.
To get his take on that from Washington, D.C. Okay, now this is one I want to take the story kind of with a really open mind here, discussion here. Let's not be tribal, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that to everybody. Of course, now, after all the scrutiny of, I don't know if you saw this, there was somebody who ended up being detained by ICE who turns out is a U.S. citizen.
Yes, I did see that.
He was walked out of his home by the law enforcement officials. Borders Czar Tom Homan was asked about this on the Will Cain Show on Fox, and here's what he said in response to this.
They couldn't verify his identity because he was uncooperative. He failed to do a quick fingerprint check. He failed to do facial recognition. So ICE detained him till they found out who he was.
Okay, so here's my question. This is why I'm saying let's not be real tribal here. Do we need to at some point go, hey, we're going to keep an eye out for, we don't want to live in a show me your papers society. Can the good guys go too far, and are we starting to get close to that line?
They can, and I don't know that I would say it's a linear thing. So I think in individual instances they can, and I think in this instance they might have. Yes, this was a U.S. citizen. He's Hmong is the name of the community that he's from. He lives at a house that may or may not have housed the people that they were looking for at some point. There's some confusion over that. He may or may not have been particularly cooperative. The problem here is they didn't have a warrant, and they removed him from the home in like Crocs and shorts in 14-degree weather with a blanket around him.
Yeah,
so
I
the
saw
optics are bad.
The picture looked awful.
They have every right to be looking for the people they're looking for, and I know they're going to do this aggressively, but there needs to be a balance struck, and sometimes there's going to be mistakes made with this large of an operation. There are going to be times where there's mistaken identity. You have to be willing to own that and say, you know what? Our bad. We apologize. Here's what we're trying to do. We'll make this right.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the warrant or what the actual legality of them to go there in the first place, but what I was looking at is that ICE can, in fact, detain people or arrest them if they're already on conducting an investigation if you cannot prove immediately of your citizenship, which, I mean, that itself predates this administration with that protocol, though. So it seems like, we're already there. I think people are just finally paying more attention to it.
Is it bad that I acknowledge that I'm a little uneasy about where this could go?
No.
Even though I am fully supportive of us going after the bad guys, that, we cannot fall into the trap of being so tribal that anything our side does goes. We cannot allow ourselves to get into a show me your paper society.
No, I think that's where we should be with it. Yeah. Otherwise, then we're just in a cult. No, the bottom line is even the good guys can make mistakes. And when they do, that's when you own it and say, our bad, we're going to make this right. But Jerome's right, too. This is not a new policy or protocol. There are pretty vast authorities powers given to these agencies to enforce immigration. And if someone is in some way impeding that, like Renee Good was, they do have the ability to at least temporarily detain that person to keep them from further impeding it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Other things happening around the area. The city is hiring.
Oh.
They're hiring a lot of people.
Oh.
Okay. So St. Louis, the city government is hosting a job fair on Friday. This is going to be at the Slate Job Center office, SLATE. That starts at 8:30 on Friday. Mayor Cara Spencer says the city needs to fill about 200 positions.
Wow.
Now, many of these are going to be seasonal or like by design temporary.
Okay.
You will need a valid ID. A lot of these jobs are in departments like Parks and Rec and Parks, Rec, and Forestry is the name of the department. So jobs like that. You can learn more at stlewis-mo.gov/jobs. And since you'll be working for the city, if you get the jobs, you are assured of a work environment that is completely competent and will not be chaotic at all.
I feel like there's some sarcasm in there.
No.
Well, things are getting better, I think, in the city.
They are. And they made it a point in the press release that they put out to say that St. Louis City is a second chance employer. So don't think because you've got maybe a rough past that's in the records. If you've taken care of everything you're supposed to take care of, that will not necessarily disqualify you from being somebody who works at Forest Park.
What about if you used to work for ICE?
Ooh, good question.
Sorry, this is in Illinois. You should be okay.
That's right. Yeah, at least for now. So with the Board of Alder Critters hasn't tackled that one just yet. So we'll see here. Okay, everybody loves true crime, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought maybe I'll try something different. I'm going to put a true crime story here in the news because we've got one here in St. Louis.
Oh.
We've got a true crime story on this. Okay, so Theron Bailey Kent is going to appear in court today in St. Louis. Okay, he's the man at the center of this true crime story. Okay, so he's charged with burglary and property damage. Now, according to police, it appears that Theron got through a gate and then broke into an Anheuser-Busch Tech campus building on Sunday. That's the alleged crime of this true crime saga.
Okay.
Security guards found him, let's just say, asleep on a couch after he'd helped himself to several servings of Anheuser-Busch products from a cooler there on the campus. He's being held on a $50,000 cash-only bond. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're going to break into some place, that's maybe the place
so it's
to do it.
Kind of like the Chris Rock thing is like, I don't approve, but I understand.
Yeah, it's kind of like Goldilocks, but only AB.
I'm not trying to give any legal advice here, but if you are going to do something of this nature, maybe get away with the goods before you start consuming them and end up falling asleep at the scene of the crime.
I wonder if Theron maybe needed a place to stay, though, and this was a good option for him at that moment.
And there was a cooler right there.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, I'm not going I'm not going to judge. We listen, but we don't judge. I'm just saying, Theron, have some standards. Come on. What's the best you're going to do? Busch Light or Bud Light, or is that watered down garbage? Come on, have some standards.
Are you suggesting?
Have some dignity.
Are you suggesting that he burglarized some other location?
Well, I'm saying if you're going to do it, at least do it.
I'm not
right.
judging. I'm just asking questions.
No. I'm not encouraging because he already done it. I'm just saying if you're going to break in and you're going to do a beer crime, at least make it worth your while and get some decent beer.
If you're going to do a jewel heist, maybe go for the diamonds and not the cubic zirconium, you know?
See? Jerome,
you guys are thievery snobs.
Yeah, okay, maybe I judged a little bit. All right. Okay. Looks like the worst of that incoming winter storm is, looks like it's still going to go south of St. Louis. Quite a bit, actually. But forecasters now saying that we could get maybe an inch of snow Friday night through Saturday.
Oh,
Temperatures either way are going to drop to dangerously cold levels starting Friday night overnight. We're talking actual temperature of 0, wind chill, God knows what. But we don't know that we're going to get snow. But at this point, they've upped it to about a 40% chance of snow. And if we do at this point, now listen, this forecast is probably going to change by tomorrow, but it looks like we're going to get something, but it's just going to be stupid cold. All right, a former Cardinal heading to Cooperstown, Carlos Beltran was a Kansas City Royal for the first 7 years of his career, and he was a Redbird in 2012 and 2013. He was an All-Star both of those seasons, by the way. Beltran is one of 2 players voted into the Hall of Fame this year. The other is former Atlanta Brave Andrew Jones.
All right.
My eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We're doing something nobody in St. Louis radio is doing. We play hundreds of songs you know and love, but that have been squeezed out by the corporatized big station owners. Plus, this week's A-List interview is with the one and only Casey Kasem.
Is Don on the phone?
Somebody get Don on the phone before he loses it. Great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work. Real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Because it's kind of funny the way my brain works or malfunctions, however you want to look at it, is that I store absolutely useless information. Of course, Billy Corgan, who you're listening to singing right there in the background, he's got a side gig. He's got a new career.
Oh. No, I did not know that.
Okay, so years ago, he purchased the National Wrestling Alliance.
Wow.
The NWA. Back of the years of, the glory days of Ric Flair and Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes and Junkyard Dog and all those guys, Rock and Roll Express and Jim Cornette. He actually owns that wrestling promotion now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would have never, there are some songs that they've produced, Smashing Pumpkins have produced, that would make fantastic intros, ring songs, but I just don't put him and Billy Corgan.
Apparently, he has grown up his whole life and been a passionate professional wrestling fan. And then obviously they had all that massive success in the '90s, and he had some money to throw around, and he went and he bought that promotion.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, good for him.
Tell me something good.
Yeah. Matter of fact, in the early days of this show, back when we were still over at the downtown Union Station studio. We actually interviewed their world champion a couple times because they did the wrestling at the Chase, memorial, or not memorial, but the historic celebration, thing. And so we actually had the champion guy by the name of Nick Aldis, who was really nice, really cool guy.
That's cool.
But yeah, so that's the little trivia tidbit.
Trivia with Mike.
That's right. Oh, okay. Quick story. Speaking of trivia, so Friday I went to was it Friday? Yeah, Saturday night. I went to a trivia night of one of my teammates. He said, "You got to get out of the house, man. Come on, we're going to go trivia night." Yeah. So it was a fundraiser for a youth sports team. And so we got there, and it was fine. I was kind of the ringer on a few things. Round number 10. The category was 80s hair metal rock bands.
Oh.
That was the category.
You were made to be there.
I just put my hands up in victory, and Barry he goes, "Guys, just let Mike do this. Don't worry about it."
Just send the sheet to Mike.
About the third question, Barry leans over and goes, "Let her finish the question first before you answer it."
I am such a total nerd on trivia nights. I get really amped up, and then I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, Horseshack, like, "Oh, I know." And then I'm like, "What are you doing? You look like an idiot."
Oh man, yeah, and it was funny because everybody was like, at first they wanted to be amazed, and then they were feeling a little sorry for me because I'm that into it,
Oh, you have that level of knowledge. Okay. So, everybody's got their thing.
That's right. I'm like, this is my thing. Even one of the questions was, what was the most popular Sunset Strip bar and nightclub that launched these bands? I'm like, well, that's the Whiskey A Go-Go. Everybody knows that.
And I've heard of it. I can say that.
And they're all like, no, not everybody knows that, Mike. I'm like,
can I really quick tell you, I was thinking, speaking of having heard of?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to say I'm an expert in world geography.
Okay.
But, I've studied it somewhat. And we even had a unit on Africa when I was in high school. And I realized some countries' names changes. Whatever. Yesterday morning, I wake up and President Trump is tweeting about, or truth socialing about, the Diego Garcia UK turning control over. And they're talking about the Mauritian... It's a set of islands. It's like Mauritian or more. So, and I was like, oh, I've never heard of those islands before. Later on in the day, they're talking about something else on the other side of Africa, Mauritania or something. I'm like, well, I've never heard of that country either.
Is it right next to Wakanda?
No,
okay,
no, it's in Western Africa.
Okay.
But it just was like two very similar names, two different parts of Africa that I've never heard of, and both on the same day. I'm like, it's the Mandela effect. I swear that is what's going on. Now I'm going to have to look it up because I sound like an idiot because I'm not pronouncing the country names. But out of nowhere, two different things came up on the same day that I'm like,
now,
how did I not hear of this before?
Well, don't, again, like you said, don't rule out the fact that they may not have been there when we were in school.
I went back. I looked on a 1984 PDF map, and it shows it there.
Oh,
so now I'm like, okay, something weird is going on here.
You need to demand your money back from your public education.
No, I got a good public education. Maybe my brain just went off, but I swear I had never heard of either one of these. And not, like I said, I don't know every country in Africa, but I've heard of most of them.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Weird.
Interesting stuff. By the way, there's going to be a new addition to the Trump-Vance administration later this year.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Second Lady Usha Vance and the Vice President announcing that she is pregnant with their fourth child. The little baby boy's on the way. And
That's exciting.
New member of the administration. I actually looked this up, and this is the first time in U.S. history that a second lady, while being second lady, will give birth. So first time in the country's history that there's going to be a vice presidential baby born.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that's
happened.
never happened before.
No, I checked it. Now I didn't look to see whether any first ladies have, but I don't remember. But it'll be the first time a second lady has.
The only first lady that I can think of would be Jackie Kennedy, because Patrick was born, but Patrick was stillborn or died shortly after birth.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he was born while they were in the White House.
Okay. So that would be that one, but yeah, this will be the first time for a second lady.
Wow!
And she is 40 years old, but clearly, when you look at her, very, very healthy. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she doesn't look 40 years old.
She does not look 40 years old. She is in good shape. She is. Yeah, I like Usha Vance. I like both the first lady and the second lady quite a bit, I will say.
Yeah, and honestly, until Vance was picked to be the president's or the nominee's running mate, I actually had never heard of her. I knew nothing about her.
Yeah, no.
So.
I learned about her when I saw Hillbilly Elegy.
Oh well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that was after I think he became the pick. So.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, see, I mean, I've got the book at the house, but I actually haven't read it yet.
You know what? You would really like it.
I have no doubt that I would.
Yeah. And the movie is very good too.
Yeah, because I remember buying the book and I'm like,
surprised.
and then I just got buried with other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's in there somewhere.
Highly recommend.
Okay, so we know I play baseball for a hobby, right? Matter of fact, I mentioned I'll give more details. Next week I'm gonna be gone for a couple days next week because I'm gonna be playing baseball. And I did get the schedule of who I'm playing against, so we'll have some fun with that. But other people, they've got their own hobbies.
Sure.
Some of them protest against Donald Trump.
As a hobby.
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of at this point. I mean, if you're that angry that you take to the damn overpass every couple of weeks, I'm thinking, have you not discovered chess? I mean, have you not discovered, knitting? I mean, is there a puzzle book you can, but that's just like their thing. And so there was a big call for protest around the country, and the media, it's kind of funny because they prepared for it and they went out to cover it, which you should. I've worked in newsrooms, and it just wasn't much there. I mean, it just the one around Forest Park and kind of the west part of the city, they even the media said, well, dozens of people showed up. There just weren't that many.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this because it seems, I don't want to say it like routine now, but it just seems like any opportunity for people to go out and say, we don't like Trump is going to be, taken advantage of. I don't have the skills to make an app, but I was thinking, do you think that there might be a market for like a dating app for these protesters? Say, I'm at the protest. Here are my hobbies. Here's what I like and dislike. We both hate Trump, but like, let's get together and do some non-protest stuff.
Different categories, dreadlocks, Crocs, van life, whatever. Yeah.
Gender fluid, non-binary.
Right.
I mean, I think there actually might be.
Because I'm starting to suspect that
call for that.
When you look at the crowds of people, it's a lot of people that look like they're young millennials or Gen Z that probably still live at home.
Yeah.
And then you have the entire nursing home just suddenly out there doing whatever they're doing.
Well, those are the ones in Brentwood.
But so I'm thinking that you can maybe potentially get them to knock it off and leave everybody alone by giving them opportunities to do things together outside of protest.
Okay, so let me push back just a little bit. The last thing we want is to put them in a position to reproduce.
Okay, fair. Well, but they're also the pro-birth control and all that stuff, so I don't think that might be an issue.
I'm not as worried about that being an issue.
It is okay. So I'm making. I'm going to make the same jokes about them that I made years ago. And don't get me wrong, I've always really liked and appreciated Ron Paul. Early in my career, when he was in the presidential campaigns back then, of course, I worked for the Bob Barr campaign, and I was on his staff when he was running for president, the former congressman. And some of the people in the campaign referred to this troop of Ron Paul supporters who traveled everywhere he went.
Yes.
We called it the flannel shirt and camper crowd. And for instance, he gave a speech at the Quad at Mizzou, and I was doing the I doing mornings or after? I think I was doing afternoons back then at 93.9 The Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was happening like late morning or noon. And so I just took my press credentials, and they had, seats in the front row for the media. And you couldn't find a parking place anywhere because of all of these like homemade camper pickup trucks that had license plates from all over the country who were following Ron Paul everywhere. And he always had this great big crowd. And at one point they were reciting his speech and they got ahead of him.
Oh.
And at one point he actually stopped. He goes, I haven't got to that part yet.
Audio teleprompters.
Oh, he didn't need it.
Yeah.
Ron Paul did not need it.
No. I mean, they were acting as that.
And it was funny because, like, I got it because, I like Ron Paul and, and I, when he was the Libertarian candidate, I was, very supportive. And when he was Republican candidate, I was, but it was funny. I'm looking around going, some of y'all aren't the best messengers for a guy who's got a really good message. Maybe you want to relax just a hair,
And self-awareness isn't the strong suit necessarily.
No. And the thing is if you put the pictures of them up against the pictures of who we're talking about now, you might not be able to tell a difference sometimes, unless we're talking about the old people in Brentwood.
There might be a Venn diagram overlap.
I think there actually might be. There actually was a remarkable overlap from some of the like literally Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump voters after the primaries. It was really weird.
I've witnessed that myself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to do with the populism aspect of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So, there's a Missouri lawmaker from St. Louis who's ready to take on ICE.
Oh.
We're going to tell you about that virtue signal idea he has that will not become a law next year. Coming up right after this.
Alex, I'll take things that will never become law for 500, please. Yeah.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Democrats produce mobs. Republicans produce jobs.
On NewsTalk STL.
The more you change, the less you feel.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriotti sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriottis, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester of McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cinderfer.
Hi, Cinderfer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is. But I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on NewsTalk STL.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
NewsTalk STL.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Hey, everybody likes Mike. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Make sure you check it out. News Talk STL.
I think we just got called out and corrected.
Uh-oh.
On something we were just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out I was beaten to the punch already by my app idea.
Yeah.
St. Louis fan Sarah says it already exists, and it's called Grindr. Touche. Fair enough.
Oh my goodness.
Live and learn.
Oh my goodness. 6:34 right now. Okay, so Madison County, Illinois, on obviously the Illinois side of the metro area, Madison County officials are going to consider a resolution tonight that's being proposed to honor Renee Good. That's going to happen at this afternoon's county board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and I saw this on Facebook. Somebody Facebooked it, reposted it. And of course, they're getting a lot of mocking and a lot of stuff. But the Madison County Illinois Democratic Party posted tomorrow, meaning today, the Madison County Board will consider a proposed Day of Unity resolution. I'm reading directly from them. Last year, and they put this in quotes, a Charlie Kirk resolution was introduced with little advance notice to the public, limiting opportunities for residents to engage before it reached the board. Many Madison County residents felt misled or sidelined during that Republican-led process. Conversely, I'm still reading from the Madison County, Illinois Democratic Party post. Conversely, County Board member Allison Lamoth has been open and transparent about tomorrow's, meaning today's, proposed Day of Unity resolution from the start. Her clear communication regarding this resolution gives Madison County residents ample time and opportunity to speak both for and against it. We support Lamoth's resolution because unity starts with how we choose to govern. And the resolution itself, there's a bunch of the whereases and everything. This starts off, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, whereas Madison County, Illinois joins Minnesotans in mourning Renee Nicole Good, who was killed by a federal agent in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And whereas in honoring Renee's life and acknowledging the pain felt across Minnesota and our nation, businesses, schools, and offices in Madison County are encouraged to observe a moment of silence at 10 a.m. And then it goes on, mourn together, peace, unity, service. You should help the food banks and all that kind of stuff. And then, therefore, Madison County, Illinois, do hereby proclaim Friday, January 30th, 2026, as Day of Unity. And this is all, going to be in honor of Renee Nicole Good. I have no idea how the vote's going to go. I honestly don't know the partisan makeup of Madison County's board there in the county.
No, I don't either. And it may be a close vote. I'm going to say something that might surprise people. And I will say that I don't really take issue with them proposing it and making a point that it's transparent and people will have a chance to weigh in. Right. Obviously, they didn't like the way the Charlie Kirk situation was handled. I wasn't familiar with that, so I have no opinion on that one way or the other. I think that I can understand why people will maybe be given pause at the trying to liken those situations to one another.
Yeah, see, that's where a lot of people are really hammering.
Right. Yeah. They're very different situations. They're both tragic situations.
Yeah.
And they both resulted in someone being killed. I will applaud them also for saying killed.
Yeah.
Not murdered.
Yes.
I suspect there'll be a fair amount of pushback about that because I think if you're being fair, there is a difference between talking to a crowd and being assassinated and getting into it with law enforcement and, maybe you think you're doing it for a good cause, but you're in the middle of a conflict with law enforcement when you are killed.
Yeah, and one, you brought it on yourself. The other was an assassination because of what you stood for.
Correct. So I could see there being substantial pushback for it. That's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I saw just when in the quick scan of the debate that was happening, from it. And of course, it didn't take very long for it to get real personal with people back and forth on it. But that's one of the things that I think a lot of people who are clearly on the right. And by the way, Madison County, Illinois is not exactly a deep blue area.
No, it's not.
Edwardsville, sure, college town, but it's. But overall, this is not a deep blue area.
No, they're part of the group that's trying to secede.
Yep. exactly. And so I think the statement, because the reference to Charlie Kirk was not in the resolution that they're going to debate, but the statement by the Democratic Party in Madison County, Illinois, is really kind of what rubbed people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is making some kind of moral equivalence to those two. But that's the thing, though, is I think a lot of people on the left draw the moral equivalence of those two because there are so many who thought that Charlie Kirk's murder was justified.
A better equivalence to draw would be Melissa Hortman.
Yes, yeah.
She was gunned down. She and her husband were gunned down and their dog in their home by a crazy guy. It was basically an assassination.
Yeah.
And I think that would be appropriate. I remember when the Charlie Kirk thing happened and people were talking about it so much. And I saw so many people saying, why were you quiet when Melissa Hortman was killed? I'm like, well, I wasn't quiet because I work for a news outlet and we covered it extensively.
Yeah.
You want to go back and see my writing about it? I don't put my work stuff on my Facebook page, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But
and we actually covered it on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Now, as extensively of no, but we did.
We definitely covered it. So anyway, point being, those are much more comparable situations.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I hopefully we'll have an update, by the time I get in tomorrow that we'll know what happened and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah. I'm like you. I don't know the makeup of the board. I know that Madison County can be, in large respects is red, but then there's pockets of blue. So I don't know.
Yep. All right. So let's go across the river here.
Okay.
A St. Louis state representative, Ray Reed, state rep Ray Reed, Democrat. He's now introduced a bill, and you're seeing this all over the place. I have a feeling it was probably largely copied and pasted from other similar pieces of legislation. Jackson County, California, New York, places like that.
Sure.
So he's introduced a bill that would, if passed into law, require ICE agents in particular to clearly identify themselves while operating in the state. I'm looking at MissouriNet's article on this. Reed told MissouriNet that the proposal was about transparency and safety, not about opposing law enforcement. He's quoted as saying in the story, "We hold our officers to a high standard across law enforcement, and they have to identify themselves. ICE agents shouldn't be able to slip through the cracks, and we've seen recently just how dangerous some of these tactics are that these ICE agents are using." Reed said violations in his proposal would bring fines of up to $2,000 and up to a year in prison for a federal agent if they did not clearly identify themselves. And so the article itself doesn't say what his mechanism is for identifying yourself, but something that they could be identified and traced.
Yeah, that's my question. Clearly identified could mean you can't wear any masks and you can't in any way, shield your actual name or that sort of thing. Or it could mean have an identifiable badge number so that if something occurs and someone needs to register a complaint, that they can, can be traced back to you.
Right.
I don't think there's an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
I do have an issue with, insisting on the no masking and the names because of the level of animosity that we've seen and because of the doxing attempts and the way people have been going after them.
Is there a difference between clearly identifying yourself as a law enforcement agent with this agency versus this is your name or something that can be? I mean, is one just as valid as the other? Because what these pieces of legislation tend to do is they say, we want to know who that guy is or who that gal is so we can find him and dox him.
Right. And I think there's two different levels there. I think there should be clearly identifiable what agency you're with.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I don't have a problem with that.
No. And again, some way to say, okay, this was badge number 89, whatever. That's my take on it.
Well, our good friend Dave might have some thoughts that can help us figure it out.
All right, Dave, can you do it in 2 minutes?
Oh, sir, I can.
I know you can. You're on, man.
You know what's amazing? I was just telling Jerome, I hear a lot of young people like himself, and it makes me proud that they have a functioning brain. Because now I don't know anymore. I try to think, is it 90% of the world is effed up, or is it 10%? And I'm leaning that 90% of the world is effed up, because if they can just simply read on their vest that say police, and sometimes they have ICE on there. But again, the bottom line is with these people, maybe when they were at home, maybe they have daddy issues, maybe they have parent issues, maybe the orange man tells them no, and they've never heard that simple word, no. And that's what I see with these people. I don't know if we need, and I'm not making light of this, I don't know if we need to start putting Prozac in the water or what we need to do, but it just seems like 90% of the population anymore is suffering from some kind of mental illness. Guys, what do you think?
Well,
Am I insane?
Well, first of all, Dave, let's not say the two things are mutually exclusive. I mean,
True.
I'm saying multiple things can be
Embrace
true at
the
the
power
same
of and.
time. I'm just saying. But no, I think the mental health aspect of it, I think there's something to that. I think that the growth of mental health crises and illnesses is absolutely a real thing, and I don't think it's natural.
No, I think it's a combination of factors, but I think COVID accelerated it all.
Did it? Yeah, and probably exposed and accelerated.
Correct.
Yeah. So, Dave, hey, good point, man. Thanks so much. Because I do think there was more. Now, we would look back at like I remember like my grandfather, World War II combat veteran. We didn't know that until after he died, because he wouldn't let us look at his like military stuff, and then we found out that he was Bronze Star, multiple awards, Valor of Combat. I mean, my grandpa, my mild-mannered office supply business owner, was a badass war hero in World War II in the European theater. We had no idea. He buried that his whole life, and it explains so much. We don't know what he struggled with the whole night, and so we treated it very differently. But I do think there's more, and it's different, and it's possibly even more dangerous now, and it's so much more widespread.
Absolutely. And I think there's, like I said, many factors in that.
Yeah, but that's not to say, Dave, hey, I can't come on you, man. I'm just saying, and Dave, I've met Dave a number of times. He knows where he knows I'm having fun with him.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that there's a lot of issues going on right now with mental health. But one thing that helps me keep sane is Flashback Fridays.
Amen.
And so if you feel that same way, I would love for you to submit your 80s Flashback Friday bump music request to me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies, Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse and Ami's Pizza.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, some top elected officials in Minnesota get themselves a subpoena.
Yikes.
Yeah, that happened. They messed around. Are they about to find out? I got a feeling in some direction of this, they're going to find out. Whether it's the fraud thing, whether it's the federal law enforcement thing, whether it's, I think somebody's going to find out something.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to find out something today.
Yeah. Now, I had some folks commenting yesterday. They're going, yeah, a lot more big talk, but nobody's actually going to get perp walked. Well, I don't know, might happen, but I got a feeling that this is big enough that I think we've got a stubborn enough, and I mean this in a good way, a stubborn enough federal administration that they are not going to let up.
Yeah, I think we're going to see something concrete today.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that.
Would it be a good idea to keep an eye on RedState.com?
It would be.
It would be.
Well,
Okay.
it always
Just
is,
saying.
but in particular.
All right. We've also gotten a quick update on that winter storm that's moving towards here. This is a massive storm.
Mm-hmm.
Massive storm. So this is one of those don't freak out, but kind of know what's going on, and I'm going to update you over the next few days anyway. And a former St. Louis Cardinal going to Cooperstown. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's dump some news on you again.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They get all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, so the Justice Department has served several Minnesota leaders, including top statewide officials, with subpoenas, and these are related to the conspiracy to block ICE federal law enforcement operations. And, of course, this is all in the wake of all of the violence of the protest against federal law enforcement there. FBI Director Kash Patel was on Fox's Hannity.
No one, elected official, private citizen, or otherwise, gets to impede and obstruct a law enforcement investigation. No one.
Among the recipients would be Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, and he says, "You ain't scaring me. I ain't scared."
Okay. Well, you're also not well educated on the law, so just saying.
Well, you've got a right to go into somebody's private property and shut them down. That's the First Amendment. We got to live with that, right?
We just got to live with it.
We just got to live with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just saying. Mm-hmm. Okay. What law school did he go? Did he go like to the Penn Foster Law
University
School?
of Minnesota. I
Oh,
believe.
did he? Okay,
Yeah, I looked it up.
That speaks incredibly well of the University of Minnesota. I thought it was like the Penn Foster mail-in school of law.
Yeah. No, I did. I actually did look that up. I was curious.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of all the continuing scrutiny over ICE, this one it caught my attention. This old guy being walked out by ICE agents in a bathrobe and boxer shorts and like slippers or Crocs or something like that. Nothing else into the cold weather. It turns out that he is a U.S. citizen.
He's a U.S. citizen. He's also 57 years old, and they're calling him an old man.
He was only 57?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's 3 years older than me, and I'm gonna brag a little bit and say I look a lot younger than that guy.
He's my age. Hello.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm 57. Yeah, but in any event, he is a grandfather, so. But yeah, it was a horrible optics thing, and it seems like it was maybe a case of mistaken identity. So my philosophy on that is you say, you know what, that was our bad. We apologize. We'll make it right, and we go forward.
Border czar Tom Homan was asked about that on Fox's The Will Cain Show.
They couldn't verify his identity because he was uncooperative. He failed to do a quick fingerprint check. He failed to do facial recognition. So ICE detained him till they found out who he was.
Okay, I'm not going to get real worked up over this because I think what you're saying here, Susie, is really solid on this. I'm just saying is that in our zeal to get the bad guys and the momentum is really there to purge out the people who should not be here. But we have to be careful to not end up in a show me your papers society, a show me your papers government. Don't get on board with that. I want federal law enforcement to have all of the appropriate leeway to do what they've got to do, but they have to be restrained to the lanes of the Constitution and protect our rights.
That's true. And also, we don't know all of the specifics of this. I mean, maybe this guy was being uncooperative, so maybe some of that's on him as well. Maybe there was some misunderstandings. I don't know what kind of language barrier there might have been. Yeah. So, I mean...
Yeah, it's just I'm just saying, just keep an eye out for that, and don't make up your mind on every news story before we get all the details here. All right, President Trump signing an executive order that he says bans Wall Street firms from buying single-family homes.
It's a move designed to stop wealthy investors from competing with individual home buyers. The president says such investors should not buy single-family homes that could otherwise be purchased by families. The executive order comes as the administration works to address voter affordability concerns ahead of this year's congressional elections. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Okay, I don't know in what world that a restriction could be issued by executive order. I cannot. There's no way that this is going to be upheld. This is not, I can write a law by executive order. This has to come from Congress. He's just way out of bounds with his presidential authority on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing if he wants to say this is the agenda I want to set. There may be some rulemaking within housing and urban development that could have some impact on this.
Or with the financing of it. Maybe you can't qualify for government loans or something.
I agree with you. I mean, setting it, then the 30,000-foot view is this even a good idea? Right. I understand the arguments for it. I think there's some arguments against it. So I think it's something to ponder. But I don't. This is one that I don't think is going to necessarily have the force that he is wanting it to have.
Yeah. So, but that's and if anybody tries to enforce it, it'll take very short time, I think, for this to be struck down. I would think, or just ruled that this is absolutely not enforceable at all. Whether you think it's a good idea or not, this has to come from Congress. And then you can challenge that in courts as well. In the courts as well. All right, Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar under investigation by House Oversight lawmakers. They say her net worth has gone up $30 million in the span of 1 year. $30 million.
Wow.
So the investigation is revolving around her husband's venture capital firm, apparently also a winery that she's involved in. A Muslim involved in a winery?
Winery.
Yeah, with quotes. Republican Congressman Darrell Issa is on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and he commented on this on Fox Business.
She may not like it, but this is the glass house that we appropriately live on. When you make $174,000 a year and you have to pay for 2 houses, you don't get rich quickly. And if you do, and we have had this in the past, it's right to investigate it.
There have been other members of Congress investigated over the years when somebody went, that doesn't seem right.
There absolutely have. Yeah. She is not unique in this, but that certainly bears some scrutiny.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's getting it. And if she's just really darn good at investing, well, good for her. I say that confidently because I'm pretty sure that's not what happened.
I don't think that's what it is.
All right. Looks like that the worst of that incoming winter storm is going to, it looks like it's still going to go south of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to get a direct hit. We're pretty confident on that. Forecasters are now saying, though, that we could get up to an inch of snow. So it looks like when this Arctic, whatever this thing is going to come in, is going to be Friday night through Saturday. Temperatures, and this is a meteorological term, are going to be stupid-ass cold, dangerously cold, 0 actual degrees plus minus whatever the wind chill is going to be. But we could get up to an inch of snow here. Now, that forecast is likely to change. So basically, late night Friday, Saturday, maybe plan on hanging around the fireplace and doing hot chocolate instead of getting out.
Yeah, I would love to, except for I have to go take care of the doggies.
I know, but they're going to appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can get to them.
Okay. All right, the Blues gave up 2 goals in the first period. They never caught up, losing to the Jets on the road 3-1. Ooh. Next up is another road game on Friday. They're going to be in Dallas. Former Cardinal headed to Cooperstown, Carlos Beltran. Started his career in Kansas City, but he was a Redbird in 2012 and 2013 and an All-Star both of those seasons. Beltran is one of 2 players voted into the class of 2026 Hall of Fame this year. The other one is former Atlanta Brave Andrew Jones. Both of them were outfielders over their career. Carlos Beltran, I think he played for 7 or 8 different teams. Yeah. He was all over the major leagues.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Agree
I think conservatives have it wrong.
or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It's wheels down for President Trump in Switzerland. The president arrived this morning in Davos for the World Economic Forum. In addition to economic matters, the president will discuss his plans for Greenland. Some of the NATO allies are skeptical, to say the least, but Mr. Trump says he's confident a deal can be worked out that will make all sides happy. The president's arrival was delayed for a few hours after a minor electrical issue forced the presidential jet to return to Joint Base Andrews.
A reporter on board Air Force One says the lights in the press cabin went out briefly after takeoff, and about a half an hour into the flight, reporters were told the plane would be turning around. Trump then boarded an Air Force C-32, a modified Boeing 757 used by the president for domestic trips to smaller airports. The two planes that are right now used as Air Force One have been flying for almost 40 years. Boeing has been working on replacements, but that work has faced a series of delays. The luxury Boeing jumbo jet gifted to Trump by Qatar is currently being retrofitted. Donna Warder, Washington.
And the president's taking a victory lap, celebrating completion of the first year of his second term.
I think God is very proud of the job I've done, and that includes for religion. You know, we're protecting a lot of people that are being killed, Christians and Jewish people, and lots of people are being protected.
Mr. Trump also cites his role in settling 8 wars, reviving the economy, and securing the border against a flood of deadly drugs and illegal immigrants. A 7th sanctioned oil tanker with ties to Venezuela has been seized by American forces in the Caribbean. Treasury Department says these vessels carry oil from nations including Venezuela, Russia, and Iran. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 105 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, I want everybody to indulge me on something here in a second,
right.
okay?
All right.
I love those videos of somebody like when they're recording and it's obviously real, it's not staged, and they find out that their life dream is fulfilled.
Yes, the real ones, yes.
The real ones, yeah, the real ones. Okay, so that happened for a former St. Louis Cardinal, and somebody was rolling a video on it, and I've got it.
Okay.
And I love it. And if you've been listening for a while, you know it was in the news dump. You know it's coming here, but I've got that clip, and it's fantastic. So 7:06 right now. I'm Mike. That's Susie. That's Jerome here. By the way, there were apparently some protests around the area yesterday. I guess.
Yeah, I missed them.
I think most people did. Nothing new happened. Just Orange Man bad kind of thing. So we'll review the festivities around 7:20. So yes, we will get into the politics and the news and. Okay, former St. Louis Cardinal Carlos Beltran voted into the Hall of Fame. He is one of two members of the class of 2026.
Okay.
Now, he was here for a couple years.
Yep.
2011 and 2012.
Oh, was he on the 2011 team?
I believe he. No, I'm going to look.
That was our World Series team, right?
Yeah. And he was an all-star both of those years that he was here.
Yep.
Maybe it was 2012 and 2013, but I think it was 2011, 2012. But right in that era. And he started his career in Kansas City, was with Kansas City longer than anybody else. He's actually going to be enshrined into the Hall as a New York Met.
Okay.
Now, he was on like 7 or 8 teams.
I guess we can forgive him that.
Yeah, just pick one, pick a team, pick a hat, whatever the case is. And so what happens is those who are nominated, they're basically told, okay, we're going to start making the phone calls around this time. So what number do you want if you get elected? And he and Andrew Jones, both of them, they cleared the threshold. You got to have 3/4 of the vote. And they were really the only two that were kind of close. I mean, nobody else was really close on this. And so they were told, and of course, family and friends and everybody, they get around. And so somebody was running the video when this phone call came in.
Hello, Carlos?
Yes, John, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm here with a few folks who wanted to say hello.
Carlos, this is Jack O'Connell with Baseball Writers Association of America.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Calling you from Cooperstown. Baseball writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame.
Yep. I
pretty cool.
Love that.
Good.
And not just because I'm a baseball guy.
Right.
I mean, what are some of the videos that you like? Like, for instance, here's another one that I will click on every single time. And that is when a guy who's playing in like AAA ball. And he's getting called up to the majors. And so what they love to do is they hide somebody's cell phone in the corner, call him into the office. They're like, we're going to have a chat, see how things are going. And then they work it in and slip it in. Well, okay, listen, you need to get your jersey turned in because they need you in Pittsburgh. The big club's calling you up. And then, of course, you see them like process and buffer for a second, and then they lose their mind and break down. Then they got to call their parents.
Yep.
They got to call. And
That's
so
big.
those, but what about some of the others that you just love?
Okay, so this is going to distinguish Mike from Susie in case anyone has trouble telling us apart. The ones that get me every time are the ones where the little kid gets the new puppy.
Oh, I
The
like
surprise
those too,
ones.
yeah.
Have you noticed this? Every single time they open the box or the package, the puppy comes out and they start crying. Every little kid that gets a surprise pet cries.
Yeah.
Without fail.
Yeah.
There's something like so like emotional about that moment. So yeah, it gets me.
I get it. Jerome, what jumps out? I mean, what would be like that little bit of dopamine that is in a good way that you could actually get on social media? What's your favorite?
So
Or one of them?
I'm not entirely sure the validity of all of the videos, but I have seen some that were confirmed legitimate where somebody that's a wildlife rescue person will like rescue some animal as a cub, like usually it's like a tiger or something of that nature, got him into a rehabilitation program, and then years later came back and was still recognized. And the
that
animal,
happens, yeah.
And so those, I don't know what it is about those, but those always give me a little bit
Get
of...
you in the feels.
You remember the video of, I think it was Jane Goodall?
Uh-huh.
And they were releasing one of the chimps, I guess it was chimpanzees that she worked with.
I think so.
And releasing it into the wild, and you could see the wheels turning in the chimp's head, and it realized it was free, but then it climbed back up and gave her like a big last hug and then ran off. That was before social media. That video's been around since like the 80s.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of those that are staged, but there are ones that are legit. And yeah, anything with the animals gets me every time. So
yeah, those are the good ones.
Oh yeah,
those are things that show up in my algorithm that I'm like I will sit, and it's the opposite of doom scrolling,
right?
Yeah, I guess I doom scroll too much because these don't really appear in my algorithm as much anymore. But there was a time where I was getting a lot of videos of kids that found out that they're officially being adopted either by
those are sweet.
Or like a step parent says like, will you take my last name? And the kid breaks down, and it's those kinds of moments where if you're having a bad day, it's going to lift you up.
Those are very sweet. This isn't quite that thing, but I saw one of these. It was like over Christmas. It was like a family gathering, and everybody in the household, all the grandkids and the siblings and everybody, one by one, they had taken like an item of grandma's clothing and put it on. So they were all like wearing her clothes, and she's in the kitchen like futzing around doing everything, not picking up on it until finally she's like, oh, I have a shirt like that. And then finally she realizes that's pretty funny.
That's actually pretty clever.
So Jay Monty says for him, the videos that he likes the most is when a serviceman or woman comes back home from deployment, surprises their kids. And one straight up says that he likes seeing the whales and dolphins that are cut loose from entanglements, by fishing boats and stuff like that. I like those a lot.
Dolphins are very smart animals.
Yes, they are.
Very dangerous, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they're like, you can communicate with them. That's how smart they are.
That's true. Yeah. Anything that's, and again, I worry about the ones that are staged because some of those rescue videos, it's, clearly someone has set the situation up. But the ones that are legit, like the one from a couple weeks ago with the golden retriever or the lab that was out on the icy pond and was rescued. I mean, that was legit. They literally went out to save him. That was a good one.
Here's the thing is I saw one of those rescue videos. It's like, this animal came and was crying and I followed it out. It clearly wanted me. And then I found the baby or the mom or whatever. And I'm looking real close. I'm like, this is some awful good camera work. It was AI.
Of course it was.
It took me, a professional, a little while to figure out it was AI. That's how good this AI is getting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I always have to stop and go, okay, wait, what are the odds that someone would have the camera rolling at that moment in time? If there's a reason why if it's really weird that someone would have a camera on the situation, that's when you start thinking, okay, was this staged or is it AI?
Right.
Anymore, the AI is very good.
It is. Especially on on your phone.
Yeah.
It's not like you've got it on the big screen where you may be able to tell a little bit better, but it's really sometimes impossible to tell. They're supposed to put a watermark, but a lot of them don't anymore.
Yeah. David's listening because he mentioned that when military parents come home and surprise their kids too. Thanks, David.
Yeah, that's actually part of why I stopped engaging with these content farms that post these kinds of videos because I found out. So, for example, there was a very large trend that was all over Instagram and other social media sites where you would find somebody that was homeless and you would give them money or buy them food, and the influencers were making it all about them, and then behind the scenes,
the Mr. Beast thing.
Yeah, and people would start coming forward and saying that they nothing that they promised to the person actually came true. They did that all explicitly for the clicks, or it's AI generated. I'm like, I don't want to reward somebody for this kind of behavior.
If you're giving somebody in need something in order to have content, you're not actually being
if you're
generous.
filming that,
you're basically hiring them for content. That's not helping. I agree. Okay, you mentioned this Monday when we were doing the days of the week. Today is the International Sweatpants Day.
I forgot to wear mine.
Jerome did not. He's celebrating.
Oh, good job, Jerome.
So turns out that there are some fun facts about sweatpants and International Sweatpants Day.
Oh,
you want to hear?
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
A few fun facts about this.
Here are some fun facts for International Sweatpants Day. Sweatpants are the second most popular outfit with Walmart shoppers. Number 1, of course, is no pants. Sweatpants with juicy across the butt are a great way to let others know that you have several DUIs. Sweatpants were invented when a clothing designer realized people are too lazy to fasten belts. The difference between sweatpants and pajama pants is that wearing sweatpants in public is only kind of sad. Enjoy your International Sweatpants Day.
To all those who celebrate Jerome.
Yeah, and nowadays the trend is yoga pants. So
I'm not always opposed to that. I'm just saying I'm not always opposed to that.
Only 2/3 of that list apply to me, Mike. I just want to put that on record, okay?
It's the juicy over the butt, right?
That's the giveaway, right? Hey, did you walk out of work at 2 p.m. yesterday? If so, you need to go apologize to your boss and get back to work. Let's chat about the latest round of St. Louis protests at 7:20.
Stop right now before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin.
I don't know if you guys have heard, but we're supposed to get some nasty weather this weekend. It's going to be very, very cold. But today, it's going to be kind of nice. It's going to be up in the 40s. This is probably your pick day to get out, do your errands, do your running around, meet up with your friends. While you're out, if you're needing a place to eat, I have the place for you. It's Harpo's Chesterfield. They're located in the heart of West County. They've been there for 20 years. They're close. They're convenient. Got a fun, friendly atmosphere. They have great food there, and they have great daily food and drink specials. If you want to know what is their special of the day, you just go to their website, harposstl.com. Today's Wednesday, so their special is 10-ounce strip steak served with your choice of 2 sides for $15. Kind of hard to beat. Anyway, great food, great drinks, great sports bar atmosphere. If you want to know what events they have coming up, you can go to their Facebook page or their Instagram page. Just check out Harpo's Chesterfield. They'll let you know there. So whether you are planning on dining in or carrying out, make Harpo's Chesterfield your go-to.
Colombo and Company.
Business is starting to pick up in Jeff City with the 2026 session. We'll get you the latest Wednesday when we talk to Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com, because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
I think you missed where we were going with that conversation, Jerome. I'm looking at your comment, your reply on Rumble right now. Everybody's talking about those nice, great, lighthearted videos that we love to see. And Jerome writes in, I like the ones where a community comes together and beats up a robber or abuser. But
Jerome.
Okay, that was in response to Corporeal Being, who says he likes the videos where a person catches his or her spouse on a Tinder date.
Oh my God!
See, those are the ones I think are staged.
Most of them.
I think they are staged.
Well, there was that entire show called Cheaters back in the day.
That was.
I'm willing to bet that those were real.
I think a lot of those were real. I don't know that all of them were real.
So not a fan of filming your most antagonistic, horrific moments.
Whereas the videos that I like show community service
and efficiency because we're not spending time. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the doorbell cams where the dog comes up and hits the doorbell with its nose because it's like, got out of the backyard.
Did you see the one where it was like a UPS or FedEx or whatever driver delivering something and a squirrel jumped on his shoulder?
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, and he's like, what? And he's like, then the whoever a homeowner is like, can I help you? And he's like, and she doesn't know what's going on. He's like, and then she looked at the video, and the guy's petrified because the squirrel is just kind of sitting there sitting on his shoulder, and then he jumped off and ran off.
Oh, boy.
I was like, I felt so bad for that guy. It was so funny. All right. I'm not a real big protest guy.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm dismissive. I'm not dismissive of it. It's a First Amendment right. Occasionally.
I've participated in a couple.
Yeah, occasionally in history, they will make a difference on something. I think most of the time you're just having your say, which nothing wrong with it. I just got other things to do with my time,
And to be clear, when I say I've participated, they were peaceful protests.
Right, yeah.
There was no violence.
I'm glad you clarified that because, you don't want a butt whooping from Susie. Just saying.
My size is deceptive.
Yeah. So, people on both sides, obviously, lots of protests that are going to happen. Times we have dueling protests. And it's two different things to say, listen, you're right, First Amendment, stay peaceful, you're good. I will defend to the hilt your right to do that. Versus, do I think I'm making a difference if I go, I remember, for instance, right before the 2024 general election, I got a request to somebody such sincere, heart in the right place, said, Mike, we're going to be doing a pro-Trump demonstration over whatever overpass. Can you get the word out? We need a lot of people to do that. And this was on the Missouri side. And I remember replying back, I'm like, hey, man, way to go doing your First Amendment thing. Trump's going to win Missouri by 15 or 20 points. We really need that energy in trying to defeat Amendment 3, the old Amendment 3.
Right.
Can we, and he's like, I never thought of that, sort of thing. So, because you can doesn't mean it's the most effective, but there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them doing the Trump flags and signs.
Not at all.
Nothing whatsoever. So apparently around the metro area yesterday, relatively few people got out to protest, Orange Man. And there was a buzz that everybody was supposed to walk out at 2 o'clock to protest whatever you're supposed to protest today.
I work from home.
Yeah.
I'm a manager, so I guess I could have gotten up and walked out the door at 2 o'clock. No one would have noticed except my dog.
Yeah, and I didn't notice that there was a lot of buzz at that time. There was some buzz about, boy, this is going to happen. We're going to show them, and then it kind of fizzled.
Yeah, part of it is the bubble dwelling. Like my ecosphere that I'm receiving information from isn't going to overlap as much with the people that are going to be protesting anymore because we have really segregated ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there wasn't a big enough buzz that it bled over.
Yeah, and like the one on one of the overpasses by Forest Park, so basically the west part of the city, which that's probably Tam. I'm guessing this is
Tam Avenue. Yeah,
yeah, I'm guessing that's the one they probably used. But even like media went out there, they were ready, because I got the press releases. They watched the social media, which is what I would do if I still worked in a newsroom. Good visuals and everything, but even channel, I think it was 4 and 2 got out there, and they were like, a couple dozen people. It just wasn't, like 3 months ago they had a real big turnout. But I think at some point it's like, guys, if you protest everything, you're protesting nothing.
Well, that's true too. It kind of goes into the void.
Yeah, you're just a hobbyist at that point. It's like you drive through and you're like, oh, what are they protesting today? I don't know. Do they still have that? Can we still get brunch? Is it still early enough to get? I mean, at some point nobody cares.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing too is that the viral social media videos, and it wasn't just one; it was several that were popping up in my timeline for the walkout, specifically for the national walkout thing.
Right.
Was calling for people to get up. Like unanimously get up, walk out the building, and then go to either like your local state capitol or whatever representative that's nearest to you and make a big ruckus about, preventing ICE activity in your area.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I don't think that a lot of these I'm starting to really honestly suspect a lot of these protesters probably don't actually have any jobs because nobody that actually has something like bills to pay or like a pet dependent on them or anything is going to randomly risk their entire career, get up and go and do something like that just to make a point about nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for something like that to really work, it first of all probably has to be on a weekend, and it has to be advertised broadly a long time ahead of time. That sort of came up pretty quickly, and yeah.
Well, because it was on a Tuesday. I mean, you're going to miss out on Taco Tuesday, so you can go protest at a Capitol building.
No.
It's like the idea, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there. If a protest is held, no one knows what it's about. Does it make a difference?
Well, right. I mean, like the first, and to some degree the second, but the first, like the No Kings thing.
Yeah.
Because we were all bracing for, horrible violence and street blocking, and no, everybody behaved themselves. They just did their thing and had their protest, and we can agree or disagree. I drove through one of them down off of, I guess it would have been Brentwood, not Hanley, it would have been Brentwood. Brentwood and like the Eager Road area down there by, Fishbone Restaurant and all that kind of stuff, Michael's. And that's a place that the old hippies like to go protest. And so I drove through. They were on the sidewalks. They had their signs, and they were, the young ones were jumping. The old ones didn't have the energy. And I'm like, whatever. I think you guys are fools, but that's your right. Do your thing, man. Nobody was causing anybody else any problem. Nothing. I got no issue with that. And then remember a couple years ago I think it was like Parkway, like the students had a big walkout protest, and it was over some gun thing. And so I remember being really critical of that. And I'm like, okay, they're absent. You mark them absent. Do they have a test or quiz going on? I guess they failed it. But the schools encouraged it and allowed it. And they're kind of grooming and training them in this sort of engagement. And that environment I had a big problem with because it was being endorsed by schools as opposed to whatever this was going to be that was just kind of a fizzle-out flop.
I don't think if it's being encouraged by the school or the employer, it's technically a walkout.
No, it's not.
I mean, at that point, because the whole point of a walkout is to make a statement because you're doing something against the grain.
Yeah.
If you're, again, if it's your school or your employer and they're saying we're going to do this, it's just like having a safety drill.
Yeah, but let's talk about like a very, very normal, real person job. You're in an office, you work in the, I don't know, the filing department, you work in the warehouse, you work in the retail store, and you're like at 2:00, social media says, I need to walk out and take a stand. Well, if you're the boss and you go, well, first of all, you're going to clock out. Secondly, your job may not be here when you get back.
Right.
And that's part of the consequence that you face. I don't think anybody was risking any consequences for this.
No, they either had employers who were sympathetic or didn't notice, didn't care. I mean,
or didn't have a employer.
Yeah, that too. So yeah,
because when the news articles on here, I'm seeing a pattern of the same people being quoted by the media. It's the exact same people. So these are just one
professional
group of
activists.
Yeah.
Okay, and which you do you, and apparently it pays well for some people.
You're more of a capitalist than you realize.
That's right.
That you're fighting. You're fighting against the system that you're actually part of.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I've participated in protests. They were meaningful. They were causes that were meaningful to me. I completely support that. And
like I said, as long as they stay peaceful. I mean, I've seen them at, like I said, in Brentwood. There's another one up on Olive. It looks like it almost seems like they built that bridge off of 270 in Olive like they built that area, a big area off the interchange up to the Olive Boulevard that is made for people to be there. So it's like they've accommodated, people standing around. So it's like a perfectly made area for protesters. But I've never seen a protester there that I agree with, but I've never seen a protester there who's causing a problem or violating anybody else's rights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a protest connoisseur. I'll show up to any protest for any reason just to be there because it's something to do. I mean, why not? Right?
Like a wedding crasher. He's a protest crasher.
Hey, they got a buffet,
Well, again, one of my core principles is that the only rights that we really have are the ones we exercise. So, I can tolerate the screaming nonsense, whatever, if I need to. But I'm going to say I will judge you and how valid your cause is, not by the rhetoric you use, but by how clean you leave the site you were protesting at.
Amen.
If you leave it looking like trash, I want nothing to do with you, and your cause is dead to me, even if I agreed with you in the beginning.
I think we should organize a protest against protests.
Yes.
There we
We should have like a no more protest, down with protest, just to see if the left actually can
The Irony
catch
Brigade.
on to the sarcasm.
Yeah, Weidman in Manchester is the other place that I see a lot of protests.
Oh, okay.
Which to me, that's troublesome. There's a wide shoulder there.
Oh, that's down there in that big commercial where all the chain stores are on that part of Manchester. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a wide shoulder there, and there's like a little hillside, but that's right on. I mean, Manchester's a really busy road, so that to me is a little dicey.
Yeah. No, I think it's nice that we're all able to support people's right to protest at the very least, but most of us are seeing it as a disgusting invasion of a church and a violation of some Minnesotans' right to worship rather than an actual First Amendment protected protest. But could last weekend's left-wing stunt turn out to be something much bigger? Let's talk about that at 7:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On NewsTalk-STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIGlobal.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
Don Lemon Fruitcake is a coward. A coward. Now, we'll take a moment to point out I'm not calling him a fruitcake because of his sexual preference. I call him that because he's as nutty as a fruitcake. But I do call him a coward for what he did over the weekend. He joined a bunch of protesters, thugs, who stormed into a church because a pastor at that church is also an ICE officer. That pastor wasn't in the building, but that didn't stop Lemon. Another pastor said, "This is unacceptable. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship." Lemon quickly responded, "Hey, there's a Constitution, the First Amendment to freedom of speech, freedom to assemble and protest." Don, are you aware of the freedom of religion? Anyway, the pastor said, "We're here to worship Jesus because the hope of the world is Jesus Christ." And Lemon said, "But did you try to talk to them?" Well, the pastor was in the process of delivering a sermon, Don. And as I said, he's a freaking coward. Try that in a mosque.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Looking for a hardware store that treats you like family? Welcome to True Value Schneider's Hardware, your local gem in Old Town St. Peters. For over 100 years, we're proudly serve you St. Charles County, providing everything from lawn and garden supplies to plumbing and electrical. Need a bolt or fastener? We've got you covered. And don't forget, we're a steel dealership. Whether you need sales, parts, or service, ask for Charlie or Jerry when you come in. We're here to help. Call 636-278-4461 or visit us online at truevalue.com/Schneiders.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
Enough. No drugs, no theft, none of that. Get all of that out of the country. The Democrat Party is gone. It hates the country. It hates the Constitution.
101.9 and 94.1
News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
All right, we know that the invasion of that church over the weekend, that was infuriating.
It was.
You know, if you are not a religious person, if you are not a person who goes to a house of worship, you were likely still angry when you saw that.
Yeah.
Or if you're not political, but you are a person of faith, you were infuriated by that, regardless of where you tend to vote. It was very likely criminal, as we've talked about this week as well. But here's the thing. Could it be something bigger? Could it be something that could be a bigger turning point in America?
Possibly.
So Brad Slager at RedState, you've heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yes. RedState.com, he's got a really interesting take on this. The Don Lemon Church incursion could serve as a tipping point for the direction of the country. And Brad joins us right now. And so Brad, that's a big, big concept, because a lot of times we look at what happens in the heat of the moment, and it's, that guy's a jerk. Those people are jerks. And maybe there's repercussions. They should investigate. You're talking about a much larger directional aspect of this. What would make an incident like this, as horrific as it was, something that could be a tipping point in the country?
Well, my take on it is, Don Lemon is the face of this. That's what pretty much got this so much traction on social media and elsewhere. So there was outrage directed at him, directed at Black Lives Matter, who organized it. But what I find to be kind of the fulcrum of this whole episode is not Don Lemon, but the local reaction, specifically the local leaders. Keith Ellison, Attorney General of Minnesota, is part of this, tangentially, but he has come out. He talked to Don Lemon the day after this took place and was encouraging this, boasting about it. Mm-hmm. And then he goes even further and says that the FACE Act that is being applied here now with charges and such, he actually came out and declared that it had no bearing on churches. It's only about healthcare clinics, abortion clinics, and the such. This just jumped off the page at me, because this is one of the leading legal minds, supposedly, of the state, completely misrepresenting a law, because the FACE Act does have language in it specifically targeting religious freedom and religious expression being protected.
Yeah, one of the things
for him to,
I was going to say, you mentioned like, to me, this is not about Don Lemon. I'm like, do you imagine how angry Don Lemon would be if he heard that? He would be stomping up and down. No, I'm the important one. Pay attention to me.
If you watch this play out on Sunday, because I was kind of plugged in as it was breaking and such, he started out high-fiving. This is what you need to do. You have to make people uncomfortable. This is the way it's done. Then he started to see the negative reaction on social media and softened his tone. And as soon as people brought up the Federal FACE Act violation, he completely changed his approach. Hey, I was just a neutral observer. I just showed up and recorded what happened. I didn't organize this. Small problem. There's all the video of him helping organize it. And then
he
the
journalismed
leader of
everywhere.
the group even thanked him by name. You know, all the people that helped us out included Don Lemon. So he knows he's kind of been caught here. It's really funny to watch him change his attitude. But the larger issue is really the approach of the legal authorities in Minnesota and the fact that they're not only supporting what took place, but their approach to it legally, which is not to approach it at all. That, to me, is a dangerous aspect of this.
Yeah, it really is, Brad, because if there are no repercussions, let's say there was no federal part of the equation, if there were no criminal repercussions from a state perspective, like you've indicated, I mean, it's just going to encourage more of this behavior. Now, I think there are going to be some repercussions here because there is a statute that's right on point, and the feds are very keyed in on this. But you know, we'll have to see how that plays out. This could, you know, is this the start of a bunch more of these instances where people's schools and churches and other places that are considered to be sort of sanctuaries are going to be invaded by these protesters because they think it's, you know, helpful to their cause?
Well, that's the dangerous aspect, in my opinion, here, because when you first approach this incident, it involves Black Lives Matter. What does that have to do with ICE activities, immigration policy, deportations? Nothing. But this is a group that is sensing some social upheaval, but it doesn't involve them, so they want to get in on the heat. They want their name out there, and considering this is Minnesota, they probably want to tap into the money stream as well. So this pretty much represents an expansion of the unrest in the area. This is not immigration related. This is a tangential group that wants to elevate the antagonism. So if this isn't addressed now, that's where I think the tipping point is. We can either get into the enforcement of the law and tamp this down and try to quell it, or if we don't, we're going to see more, and it'll only get worse. And I think that's where we're at right now.
That voice you're hearing is Brad Slager. The article at RedState.com is the Don Lemon Church incursion could serve as a tipping point for the direction of the country. I think, Brad, you're onto something there, obviously, because we're talking about, okay, if this, then that. If this is not, you know, if there aren't consequences dealt out now, then we've basically given the green light and encouraged this to happen. At the same time, could that tipping point be, oh, we're cracking down on those who violated other people's rights, on those who interfered with federal law enforcement, and tip it back into a direction of more law and order? I mean, could the tipping point go either way?
Yeah, it's pretty much what I'm leaning on. It's, you know, if you look at this as a scale balance, it depends on what side the force will land on. So if we do get into the federal enforcement, and thankfully Harmeet Dillon and the DOJ looks to be taking those steps now, that'll tip things back towards a more sane, a more resolved enforcement of the law, and that's going to tamp down a lot more of this. The very fact that it's Black Lives Matter is what jumped out at me, because that's an expansion. That's another group now that wants to get into the unrest, and if they are given this permission, they'll expand, and who knows what other groups are going to also get into the unrest. So I think it's pretty vital right now that we make an example out of them. Don Lemon being charged will be great because he heightened what took place here with his name being on it. Even though he's diminished in stature, he's still a name. So if he gets charged, that can send the proper message and see if they can put a cap on some of this unrest.
Yeah, Brett, he's the biggest name in the room there. I think he may have even let us know that. Since you are our resident media guru, media watcher at Red State and Town Hall, I wanted to get your take too on. I mean, I guess Lemon is trying to make himself relevant again as a journalist.
So is Black Lives Matter in this. I mean, I think Brad, I think you're spot on. Is that here's a chance to try to make themselves relevant the way they were 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. Absolutely. But I wonder, like, what are we seeing from his fellow journalists particularly those on the left, in relation to his being in the middle of all this?
Relatively little. There hasn't been much coverage of this on the broader media landscape at all. And I think it's twofold reasoning behind that. One is that I'm sure a good portion of the media supports what they did. They're in favor of this. But the other half, I think, are scared to be critical of him because Black Lives Matter is attached to it. It's tough to come out and be aggressive, let's say, with the facts when it comes to groups like that. So there's two reasons pretty much for the press to just put their hands up and back away. And we don't want to really touch that. I mean, we saw it on CNN a couple nights ago when Scott Jennings got into it with his young Parkland survivor who's now a CNN analyst. He came on and declared definitively that Donald Trump is a sex trafficker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Jennings looked at John Berman, who was hosting it. He's like, "Are you just going to let that sit there? Are you going to?" And Berman didn't even want to address it. He was like, okay, he hasn't been convicted. Are you satisfied, Scott? They're that fearful of anything that could be seen as a proper move by this administration. So they're both in favor of the unrest, and they don't want to point out the details and the facts of this being very wrong-headed federal violations. And so the media in general is just, we'll just let this play out and back away.
Oh, okay, so Susie and Brad, but listen, Don Lemon, was setting us all straight when he was on What's-Her-Face's podcast. You don't understand. He is a gay black man in America.
Wow, that's thanks for the breaking news, Mike. Jotting that down right here. Research this further.
He said that emphatically. And matter of fact, his producers pointed out to him, this is such a big deal because you're a gay black man in America.
Yeah, that's it's pretty much all he's got going for him. I love it when he comes out too and says things like the most dangerous element in America are white men. And I'm thinking, how is this going to play out when he goes to bed at night with his white husband?
I don't know what they're into.
Let's not even go there.
Okay, yeah, redirect. Sorry.
No, but he's in desperate mode. I mean, ever since he'd been dispatched from CNN, he's just always made these lurches for relevancy. He does these man on the street interviews and they go sideways. He did this one time where they barnstormed Marjorie Taylor Greene's office and demanded an interview with 15 activists. They're like, "How do you respond to this?" And the response was, "She's not here." He just falls on his face on a regular basis when he really thinks he's the center of the story, which is amusing. Oh. And this is just another example of it. But he also is plugged in with the leadership there. Keith Ellison was interviewed by Don Lemon that very morning. So it really looks like Ellison knew about this ahead of time. And again, he's the top cop in Minnesota, did nothing. And that's where I think the problem could really exist, is that the leadership is pushing for this kind of unrest, and that's unsettling.
All right, Brad Slager, RedState.com. We have tagged you on our social media, but people want to follow the work you do. They obviously can go right to Red State to do that, but anywhere else you want to direct them online?
Well, yeah, if you go to Red State and or Town Hall, throw my name in the search, you'll see all my work come up. And also on social media, I kind of antagonize the press with, uncomfortable facts on Twitter. If you go to @MartiniShark, that's where I'm at applying my trade as well.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Have a great morning.
Thanks, Brad. Hey, you know what? It's Wednesday, but that means Flashback Friday is right around the corner. So you need to get your requests in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
His remarks are racist.
On Newstalk STL.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
When you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got the funding, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time. Big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad.
Oh my God!
You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Larry Connors here. Special advice for you. Do not try to steal home base with Mike Ferguson at the plate. And don't forget, Larry Connors USA, 6 to 8.
Going to put that to the test next week. Details forthcoming. Just saying.
Yeah, a little bit of foreshadowing.
A little bit of that. All right. A lot of people scared AI taking over is going to take their job. Okay, so this is like just one of those real life things. It doesn't matter. We're not talking just high tech stuff.
No.
I mean, people at the entry level, at the mid level of what AI is obviously changing the world. That is not hyperbolic to say that.
Not at all.
By any stretch. So AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. I mean, things are going to be reshuffled. But a lot of times we get into the mindset that says because things change, that something must go away, as opposed to things change. It doesn't mean that it's zero-sum game and AI takes this job. That doesn't mean that there's not something else that's created in the same spot. So how do you kind of make yourself marketable and stay valuable? Well, Forbes did an interesting article on that. We'll get into some of the things that they found on that. But okay, so think of this as you're outsourcing for your news collection. That's how I'm thinking about RedState right now. So you all provide that service. So Susie, what else should we check out today?
This is the RedState Rundown.
We've got an article up from our managing editor, Jennifer Van Laar, who doesn't get to write as much because she's managing everything. But this is
because you guys are troublemakers.
I know. This is an important one. The CIGOP has filed an emergency application with the Supreme Court on that redistricting case, the Prop 50 case out of California. They lost it last week at the panel level. Now they've appealed to the Supreme Court.
What's the panel level mean?
Well, so for these redistricting cases, there's 3-judge panels. The trial court is basically 3 judges. You start out with that, and you go straight to the Supreme Court. That's a big one, redistricting California. Check out Jen's article. We've got another one from our deputy managing editor, who also happens to be me. We voted for this, Trump's cabinet, 1 year in. So what I did was I went through and I compiled a list of all the cabinet members and agency heads and what they had to say about their 1 year and their accomplishments. All in one place. If you want to feel good about this administration, go check that one out.
Okay.
Last but not least, from Ward Clark. This was actually an exclusive from our sister site, Town Hall, and Ward wrote it up too. There's an undercover video that exposes a bribery ring in U.S. immigration courts in Ohio. This one involves immigrants from the West African nation of Mauritania That's what I was speaking of
Mhm.
earlier. Mauritania is the West African nation. There's apparently this whole bribery ring going on in Ohio, and a woman on video kind of exposing it all.
That's huge.
Yeah.
If you're in the courts and you're in the immigration, that's massive. Because not only do you have judicial, but you've got literal national security involved.
Yeah, this is one you definitely want to check out.
Okay, what's the title of that one again?
Watch Undercover Video Exposes Bribery Ring in U.S. Immigration Courts by Ward Clark.
Okay, redstate.com there. All right. So the whole AI thing, and we've talked a lot about AI, and we're gonna talk about it more because you've got all sorts of different aspects of it. You've got the race for AI. It's kind of like the race to the moon back in the 60s and 50s and 60s, and the space race and the technology race, and now you've got the AI race, and it's us versus China, and whoever develops faster sets the tone, and you've got everything from world commerce to all sorts of stuff. So it's so massive. But a Forbes article made it really, really kind of personal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was ways that you can lean into AI and lessen the chance of it replacing the job you have right now.
Okay.
And this was, I thought it was fascinating because we tend to get so scared of what we hear in the media and the headlines, because we've said, listen, AI is a tool. It's going to be good. It's going to be bad based on what you do with it. It's like social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's like radio. It's like television. It's like your car. It's like a shovel in Minneapolis. It's going to be plant a flower or whack a federal law enforcement officer with it. It's what you do with it.
Right. Those are two interesting options.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So Forbes looked at this, and I'm glad that they were kind of taking that approach, because I think there's a lot of people, especially if you're in one of those like processing positions, or quality check positions, or something where things have to come from somebody else through you to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff AI can do probably cheaper and better than what you can do.
True.
So don't think, well, that means that my career is over. No, it means you got to figure out how to navigate the new landscape.
It's true.
So among the things that Forbes was talking about there is don't wait for the company to help you get up to speed with AI, because you could be left behind and they don't need you. They're saying they're looking for the AI technology. And by the way, AI is benefiting small businesses as much or more than big businesses. You call the little mom and pop shop and they've got a little, or you go onto their website to order something, a little prompt chat, that's AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's saving them a massive amount of money to do that. And so what they're saying is go learn AI.
Figure out how to use it to your
Right.
advantage.
Go take a class. Go find somebody who knows it and go get to know this and kind of get into sync with this.
Don't let it be the boss of you.
That's a great way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually talked to my son the other day, and his wife, my daughter-in-law, she's a travel agent,
Mm-hmm.
but she's got a side gig now. She's learning like getting a certification in AI because they're young and they understand all this stuff. And then she's going to be teaching the basics of integrating AI.
That's smart.
Very.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of thing I think the Forbes article was talking about, because, that popped up and I'm like, oh, I just had a conversation about that.
Yeah.
But that's good with any new technology, but this one isn't going away. This isn't
It's
going to be
not.
the fad that comes and goes.
No, it is not going away. It's only going to get bigger and more pervasive. So,
Well, and the other thing, the basic key point, and you can once again find the article at Forbes, collaborate with other coworkers who are using AI.
Mm-hmm.
Go out of your way to understand what they are doing. So even if you've been doing this job forever, the job that you've been doing isn't going to be the same job in 6 months or 3 months or 1 year. It's here. You can complain about it, or you can become the ally and be the indispensable resource along with it, basically.
that's important.
Yep. And then it also says, and I thought this was interesting, use human abilities to your advantage. AI obviously can do a lot of aspects of our jobs. It can probably do it better than a lot of us. That's the point. And it's only going to get better at this sort of thing. But it doesn't have things like good judgment all the time. Waymo, looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
Nuance, empathy, the communications. Those are things that in many cases will always be crucial to any like office or business environment.
Yep.
Hey,
Hey, Jamie Allman here. When your car needs attention, trust who I trust. Benchmark Complete Auto in Valley Park. 25 years as a family-owned and operated company, Benchmark is your Napa Auto Care Center for nearly every maintenance and repair, using the latest technology and top-quality parts. Need help with the bill? Well, ask about Napa's Easy Pay financing. Mention Jamie Allman and NewsTalkSTL and get 10% off. BenchmarkAutoRepair.com, BenchmarkAutoRepair.com.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. As we follow the important issues facing Jefferson County, if you want to stay informed on Jeffco politics, especially in this all-important midterm election year, make sure to tune in this and every Sunday at high noon here on Newstalk STL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
If it's a big story in Jefferson County, you'll hear about it on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Sundays at noon on Newstalk STL.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. When severe weather hits, scammers often follow. They may pose as charities, jack up prices on essentials, or offer fraudulent home repairs. I'm committed to protecting Missourians from those scams. If you've been targeted or suspect price gouging, report it to our office at 800-392-8222 or online at ago.mo.gov.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We, the people, will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should come. You should listen to many voices.
1019 and 94.1.
Their phone lines have surely been burning up.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. President Trump wasting no time getting into the swing of things at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. He's set to deliver a speech as scheduled despite his late arrival in Davos due to a minor electrical issue on board Air Force One. Treasury Secretary Besson says California Governor Newsom, who says world leaders ought to stand up to President Trump, has no business being at the World Economic Forum, given the impact of last year's wildfire disaster in California.
He is here hobnobbing with the global elite while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. He is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything.
The president, meanwhile, sounds confident about winning over NATO allies, skeptical, some even angry about his plan to assume control of Greenland. Some tough talk from Iran's top diplomat.
Iran's foreign minister has issued a direct threat against the U.S., warning of retaliation if attacked. This comes after Tehran's crackdown on protesters and as a U.S. aircraft carrier group moves toward the Middle East. Abbas Araghchi made the threat in an opinion article, blaming armed demonstrators for the violence. Videos from Iran show security forces targeting unarmed protesters. The death toll from the protests has reached at least 4,519, according to US-based activists. More than 26,300 people have been arrested, with fears of executions coming amid the ongoing tensions. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Wall Street may give up more ground today following yesterday's heavy losses. Stock futures are in the red. The Dow futures down 149 points, and NASDAQ futures off 59 points. S&P futures down 9. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Listen closely. If your retirement funds include an IRA or 401k, this matters right now. The stock market is at an all-time high. The dollar is under pressure. Interest rates are heading down, and leading economists are warning that the global financial system is changing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now to get your free gold investment guide, valued at $49, plus your free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Investors across America are turning to gold and silver with Advantage Gold. Right now, silver is flashing a signal you can't ignore. Silver prices have been rising sharply, and history shows when silver moves, it can move fast. Learn more before this window closes. Call 800-900-8000 right now to get your free precious metals rollover kit. Find out about a tax and penalty-free rollover in 2026. Gold and silver can surge when the economy shifts, and they don't wait for permission. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. That's 800.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Make your holiday special with Anthony's Produce, serving our community for over 28 years. Order fresh fruit and vegetable trays for work parties, family gatherings, and celebrations. Send chocolate-covered strawberries or a stunning fruit bouquet to someone you love. Plus, get seasoned firewood for pickup or delivery to keep your home cozy all winter long. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Order online at anthonysproduce.com or call 636-936-0496 on Jungerman Road in St. Peters.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Police officers, they're 4 times more likely to suffer a fatal injury than any other job in America. What you may not know is that every day our police officers are left destitute after a critical injury, abandoned by the very system they serve.
I had the gunshot wound to the forehead. With the cut and pay, we had to sell our house.
I couldn't do anything that I used to be able to do. I wasn't the provider anymore.
So I took the first shot to my face, and then I took a second shot to the left side of my left breast.
Imagine being crippled in the line of duty, losing your ability to do your job or take care of your family, only to be denied medical benefits and have your pay cut when you need it most. This is why the Wounded Blue exists, to right this terrible wrong done to veteran police officers. To learn more about how you can make a difference in the lives of officers who've been critically injured in the line of duty, go to thewoundedblue.org today.
Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, when the crap hits the fan, politicians love to go to the cameras and pound their fist on a podium and say things like, no one is above the law.
Yeah, politicians sure love their theatrics.
They love that because when they say that, what they usually mean is, I want to use the law to bludgeon my opponents, but I want to be above the law. It just depends on the situation here. What we're hearing a lot about what's happening in Minnesota is no one is above the law. No one is above the law. Okay, well, they're meaning two different things with that based on who the target they want the law to have in their sights is. All right, we're now joined by our friend Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation. I want to start there, Mike. We have news now that some Minnesota leaders, I mean, we're talking the governor's office, the attorney general's, others, they have been issued subpoenas. Now, we've got different things that are being investigated in Minnesota. What do these target?
Well, there's a lot to unpack with Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So let me preface all of this with a proviso to urge patience here. There's a couple things we need to keep in mind. First of all, this is a blue state with a potential jury pools that are going to be hostile to any Department of Justice prosecution in any manner. At least that's what you have to expect going into this. Also, the potential that you're going to have a judge who could possibly bring in some sort of biases and be predisposed to be against the Department of Justice. So you're walking into a potentially adversarial, hostile jurisdiction with a potentially hostile jury pool and a potentially hostile or at least biased judge. So this means when you're initiating any of these kinds of criminal proceedings in whatever manner we're talking about, we can talk about the fraud that's obviously going on, the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. We're talking about the obstruction of justice or conspiracy to obstruct justice when regards to the ICE enforcement actions. We could talk about what's happening with the raids on the church in Minnesota, the potential prosecutions there. We have to know that the Department of Justice has to have all its I's dotted and T's crossed. In other words, they have to gather evidence. They have to take their time. So there shouldn't be a rush to the courthouse. The criminal process, as we all know, is disposed in favor of the accused. You're innocent until proven guilty. And the prosecution has a very high burden, has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that any individual who's charged with any particular crime is guilty of that crime. So you have a very high burden you have to meet. So you have to go slow and you have to be methodical when you're gathering your evidence and you're building your case before you issue any kind of criminal indictments or convene a grand jury and rush any criminal indictments. Oh. Now, with that said, let's break it down a little bit. We're talking about grand jury subpoenas to statewide office holders. That could be, again, immediately when I thought of that, what went to my mind was obstruction of justice, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and regarding the ICE enforcement actions. What role are any of these statewide or local officials playing in obstructing the ability of ICE enforcement agencies, ICE enforcement actions to proceed? So that's kind of where I was going with this. But of course, they could be regarding the fraud that's going on in Minnesota. There's just a lot to unpack, Mike.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly what the subpoenas were for. Right. Which situation, is that correct?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I mean, it's kind of a bevy of potential federal law violations here that we're talking about. So it could be I initially, when I just saw the headline, I said, oh, okay, you're seeing that there is an organization, that there is an organized effort to obstruct ICE enforcement action. So possibly that's what these subpoenas are going to. But then I went to the next step. I said, oh, it could also be regarding perpetuation of this rampant fraud that's going on. What is the extent to which these state officials have allowed or perpetuated and known about fraud that's going on, or actually played a role in ensuring that this massive amounts of fraud by, again, it looks like Somali refugees is occurring. So it could be one, it could be the other. Again, what this does indicate, of course, is that the Department of Justice is taking all of these matters seriously and that they are building a case, probably a criminal case. Obviously, they're not going to shed details on this because they're building the case and they're not going to comment on ongoing investigations. But it could be fraud. It could be the fraud matters. Again, it could be the ICE matters.
Hey, Mike, when we've got a grand jury subpoena that's been issued, and this has gone to the office of the governor, this has gone to the office of the attorney general, among others, what does that mean? And what are they now compelled to do? And is there anything they can fight in this part of the process?
Yeah, generally speaking, you're obligated. You can fight the width and breadth of a subpoena if you're gonna say that it's overbroad, that I can't, that this doesn't ask for specifics. You could fight that, but generally speaking, you're going to have to comply with it. And you're going to a grand jury. It's an initial stage. Remember, in the criminal proceedings, in the federal criminal justice proceedings, grand jury is the initial step. That's what happens. The prosecutor wants to gather evidence and present evidence to a grand jury, a jury of individuals, of citizens, and they have to present evidence to them and present probable cause, overcome the burden of probable cause. In other words, more likely than not, that the individuals who are accused of committing a crime committed that crime. And once you present that evidence, the grand jury says thumbs up or thumbs down. You secure an indictment. If the evidence is there, they secure an indictment, and then you're able to execute that indictment, arrest the individual, charge them, bring them in front of a judge, initiate the entire process where you try the individual who's accused. But the grand jury is kind of the initial step here that we're talking about. Probable cause is the burden here. That's what you need to show. But the subpoenas, generally speaking, when you're issued a subpoena in a federal context, you go to your lawyer and you're pretty much obligated to comply with it.
Okay, so we've talked about the politicians here, the statewide officials. Let's talk about these protesters and law enforcement. At the FBI level, they're talking about holding the protesters accountable because obviously there's been violence and law enforcement's been assaulted. It's been ugly. What the locals, it seems like they should be the ones who are arresting and prosecuting because it's happening in their jurisdictions. That's not happening. What is it that federal law enforcement can do when it comes to a criminal prosecution or federal prosecutors? I mean, is this something the locals could say, hey, our turf, our jurisdiction, get out, we just don't chew it? Or can the federal folks come in and override it?
Certainly, there's a role here, and I've talked about this before. I think there's a federal statute. Again, if you're obstructing justice, if you're conspiring to obstruct justice. In other words, if you're actively working to, again, I'm all for First Amendment private protesting, and you should be able to exercise your First Amendment rights. But there's a line that anybody can cross, and if you are interfering with an official federal law enforcement action, then you can be charged with obstruction of justice under the federal criminal statutes. So this isn't strictly a local jurisdictional issue. When ICE agents are trying to, and by the way, let's be clear about this. Who are the federal ICE agents apprehending here? These aren't, and I think President Trump was very clear in his press conference the other day. These are the worst of the worst. These aren't good guys. These aren't just your run-of-the-mill immigrants who've come to the United States and been here for 20 years and are trying to work and build a life. These are bad dudes who are trying to be apprehended. So I think it's important to know, what side are you on in this case? The protesters here, that the Antifa insurrectionists, the protesters, the people who are condemning ICE, are essentially defending terrible criminals, murderers, rapists, robbers, individuals who've done horrible things. And so you have to ask yourself, really, what is the point of what you're doing? It's not like you're defending some innocent person. These are individuals. ICE, and you saw that video. I don't know if you guys saw the video of the ICE agent in the SUV saying, "Look, we're going to get this guy who's a murderer or who's a child molester. And why are you trying to stop us from doing this?" So that really doesn't make sense from a public safety perspective. Anyway, they can be charged federally with obstruction of justice. I think also it's important to talk about what happened at that church in Minnesota too. And there's a federal criminal statute that can be asserted there for the individuals who menaced the people who were peacefully worshiping on a Sunday. And of course, that's the federal access to clinics, to clinic entrances. This is a law that was passed that prohibited individuals from menacing or intimidating women who wanted to go into abortion clinics. It also applies to places of worship. So those individuals can be charged under what is known as the FACE Act.
Yeah, and the Justice Department seems to be intent on building a case there. We'll see what happens. Exactly. We're visiting with Michael Neal from the Landmark Legal Foundation. Just got a minute or so left here, Mike. Let me ask you about something, because this is something that's popped up in the news. At one point, we do know that at least one U.S. citizen was detained in Minnesota. He was later released. The optics are terrible about this, and one of the arguments that we're getting from people is they're going to end up rounding U.S. citizens in part of a dragnet. So do we risk even the good guys trying to do the good thing going too far and violating the rights of citizens in the process?
Well, it's a balancing test, and I think when you look at the numbers here, we're talking 0.1% maybe. I mean, just a fraction. You're talking about literally tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of apprehensions. And there might be maybe single-digit numbers of individuals who are citizens who have had, a bad experience. Let's put it that way. So in any kind of situation, broad situation like this, you're going to have these outlier exceptions where there is always that risk of an individual who's a citizen who's being detained and then subject to probably an uncomfortable situation where they're obligated to establish their citizenship before they are put into this process. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly, I think the federal government and ICE is taking every steps to avoid those sorts of situations. But invariably, when you're just talking about raw numbers, there are going to be those lone situations, those outlier situations, which happens. But of course, that's always the case, right? I mean, you're always living in a society where you have, at any given day, millions of police interactions with any kind of citizen. There's always the option, there's always that potential for the police officer to go over the line. And I think that's just kind of the what we live with in our civil society that we have to deal with. Again, look at the raw numbers. If you're going to be able to, and this is what the left loves to do, they love to find the one or two needles in this massive haystack and make that the face of their cause, right? And say, look, this is what ICE does. They apprehend American citizens. Well, that discounts the fact that you had hundreds of thousands of legitimate detainment operations, and you can find the one or the two. Again, those are tragic situations, and those are situations which obviously everybody wants to avoid. But I think invariably, when you're talking about the width and breadth of these operations and the necessity of these operations, again, you see what happens when a lot of these individuals come into this country here. We're talking about the particular community in Minnesota. We see, and this is just to turn back to what we were originally talking about, you see the fraud that is just rampant, and then the what's going on costing the American taxpayers billions and billions of dollars. So obviously something needs to be done.
All right, let's get out the website once again. I think we've already tagged you on our social media so people can follow the work that you're doing.
Yeah, landmarklegal.org, landmarklegal.org. You can just check out our socials on Facebook and X, Landmark Legal Foundation.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you again soon, man.
Take care, Mike. Have a good day.
And speaking of that one case that has made the news, we're actually going to get a response from Tom Homan on that just ahead. I've got the news dump coming your way. Going to wrap things up with that right around 8:21.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this.
There's only one place you can get pizza cooked over coals. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield Valley. Of course, Napoli Brothers has a great selection of pasta dishes. Between the pizza and pasta, trust me, you will not leave hungry. Then, a few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge, a wide variety of quality cigars, each offering a unique smoke. That cigar, some premium whiskey, all you need to do is enjoy. Lit Cigar Lounge and Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, Chesterfield Valley.
NewsTalkSTL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalkSTL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, let's pick up where we left off with Mike O'Neill just a second ago. And by the way, that conversation, which I actually found really informative, that's going to be up on our podcast here in, I don't know, whatever, an hour and a half, something like that, whatever.
Yeah, around 9:30 is usually when I get them up.
Okay, so check that out. But it looks like some of Minnesota's top elected officials, including the office of the governor, including the attorney general's office, they have been served subpoenas, federal subpoenas.
Now, are they going to be able to pull the Bill Clinton and just not show up?
See, that's a really interesting question. Somebody was asking that on social media a little bit ago. And to go deeper into that question, will there be any actual consequences for the Clintons on that? And despite all of the tough talk, we'll see whether that actually happens. Because even though you may like the administrations that's in charge right now, the reality is that in our system, there is a 2 or 3 tier level of justice in this country, and not any one administration is going to be able to wipe it away overnight.
Yeah, and I just wanted to point out real quick as well, when President Trump was going through a lot of his legal stuff, he showed up to the courts when he had to. He actually complied and went through the, regardless of the validity of it.
Right.
And now we're not seeing that same extension from the left.
And he sold T-shirts and stuff with it. I mean, all right. So we've also got an update on that winter storm that's moving through the area. I've been saying all week. We've been hearing, and this is going to be a big storm. Don't freak out. We may just get clipped by it. So I've got the latest details on this. And a former Cardinal gets the call from Cooperstown.
Ooh.
Yes. All right. 8:23 right now. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump.
The Morning News Dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, so the Justice Department, as we just said, served some Minnesota lawmakers and statewide leaders with federal grand jury subpoenas, and it looks like these are going to be focusing on efforts to block ICE operations there. Here is FBI Director Kash Patel on Fox's Hannity.
No one, elected official, private citizen, or otherwise, gets to impede and obstruct a law enforcement investigation. No one.
Okay, so Tom Homan was also on Fox News last night. He was on the Will Cain show, and he was being asked about that situation that we were just talking to Mike O'Neill about, where there was a guy who was detained by ICE. It turns out that he's actually a U.S. citizen. And so, but the optics were just horrific. Snow and ice falling, and he's in boxer shorts and a wide open, robe, with his hands behind his back, and it just looked really, really bad. Here's Border Czar Tom Homan talking about the other side of that story.
They couldn't verify his identity because he was uncooperative. He failed to do a quick fingerprint check. He failed to do facial recognition. So ICE detained him till they found out who he was.
Okay, so this is one of the areas where I guess at some point they're going to figure out whether or not they were within the letter of the law when it comes to legality of that. But we need to be the ones on our side to be watching our side, quote unquote, our side, to make sure that they are not stepping outside of their authority. We do not want to end up in a show me your papers state because our side is the one demanding to see the papers, because at some point the other side is going to be demanding to see the papers. We have to make sure that this is done within the constitutional bounds that keeps our federal government, in this case law enforcement, in the right place. When they're doing that, great. I am for them going after the bad guys, but we also have to make sure that our rights are preserved in that process.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin, too, is before we start jumping immediately to conclusions one way or another, it's to make sure that we understand what the actual established protocol is. I mean, a officer of any type cannot just walk up to you specifically and say, show me your ID right now or you're going to be detained or arrested. But if they said, hey, we're looking for old man baseball players, and you match the description of a catcher we're looking for, then if you do have a legal obligation to then provide some sort of identification.
Yeah, by June or July, like we're looking for a guy with bruises all over his legs and forearms. Guilty, you got me. All right. Okay, so President Trump signing an executive order. Been a while since we talked about a President Trump executive order on something.
Yeah.
He says that he is banning Wall Street firms from buying single-family homes. Here's the story.
It's a move designed to stop wealthy investors from competing with individual home buyers. The president says such investors should not buy single-family homes that could otherwise be purchased by families. The executive order comes as the administration works to address voter affordability concerns ahead of this year's congressional elections. Greg Clugston, the White House.
This is way beyond the authority and the scope of the power of the presidency. I'm sorry. If you like the policy, then talk to Congress about passing it, but the president just does not have the authority to write an executive order and say, you are not allowed to buy that. You are not allowed to conduct that business move because I think it's bad. It may be bad, but this is not within the scope of the president. This is just extra constitutional authority. This is going to get struck down if they try to enforce it.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people are still cheering for this stuff coming from the presidency because I think it is a lot of things that we would like to see from state and congressional lawmakers to get done, but they're not doing it. So President Trump saying, I'm going to do an executive order, people seem to like it.
Except it he doesn't have the authority to. He just doesn't have the power to. So, all right. The city is hiring. St. Louis City's government is hosting a job fair Friday at the Slate Job Center office. That starts at 8:30 in the morning. They're going to be filling about 200 positions. Now, a lot of these are going to be seasonal and by design temporary. We're talking like parks and rec type jobs. You're going to need a valid ID, but more information is at stlewis-mo.gov/jobs. So easy to find there. It still looks like the worst of that incoming winter storm is going to go to the south of St. Louis. So we've got that going for us, but we're looking at you're looking at Arkansas, you're looking at Georgia, places like that. They could get hit really hard with a lot of ice and snow. So we're going to get clipped with this. So here's the current status of the forecasting. Late Friday and into basically all of Saturday, the temperatures are going to get dangerously low. We're talking actual 0 temperatures and then subtract whatever the wind chill is going to be off that. We could get some snow. They're now saying it's more likely we're going to get some snow, maybe up to an inch of snow here over that time. Not the end of the world, but still. And that forecast, all the forecasters, there must be something really unstable about this because they're saying be prepared, but this is going to change. Maybe it's going to change in a better direction. Maybe we could get more, but we'll have more information tomorrow and then certainly Friday morning.
And so it'd be a good time to remind you, check your tire pressure, check your battery life, make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra time to allow your vehicle to defrost and check on your antifreeze levels.
And get some popcorn and get some hot chocolate and just watch movies, All right, a former Cardinals headed to Cooperstown. Carlos Beltran actually started his career in Kansas City as a Royal for the first 7 years of his career, and he was a Redbird in the 2012 and 2013 seasons. I thought it was 11 and 12. It's actually 12 and 13. So he was not on that World Series team. But he was an all-star both of those years that he was a Cardinal. Beltran is one of 2 players voted into the Hall of Fame class of 2026. The other is former Atlanta Brave Andrew Jones, both of them outfielders. And those are the only 2 that made it in this year.
Wow.
Yep. The Blues gave up 2 goals in the first period. They never caught up. Final score losing to the Jets on the road 3-1. Next up is another road game on Friday. This has been a pretty long road trip for them. This has been going to end up being like a week and a half or something like that. So they're going to be in Dallas on Friday to take on the Stars. Blues are still really struggling just below that 500 level there. Now, keep in mind that's where they were the whole year. They came back and won the whole thing. But they're definitely not imploding. They're just basically staying in the same lot in life in the NHL standings.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have smelled alcohol on your breath. Anything else?
No.
No.
No. Besides my meds.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. We're tracking highs towards the mid-40s this afternoon. We'll see skies clearing, mostly sunny by the late afternoon hours. Then temperatures continue to fall off from Thursday on, a high of 37 degrees, highs into the teens for this upcoming weekend. We're also issuing a first alert weather day for Saturday for the potential for impactful snowfall and dangerously low temperatures across much of the region. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Fox News Commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
If you're over 40 and plan to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They help investors reduce risk by adding gold and silver to their portfolios. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult with your tax or financial professional before making investment decisions.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
So Donald Trump has spent 1 year in office, and the results are undeniable. Gas prices are down. Inflation is down. Trump got Maduro on a Saturday morning, had him in New York City by Saturday night. He passed historic tax cuts, shrunk our trade deficit, ended multiple wars, closed the border, and still found time to play a few rounds of golf. Trump also signed an executive order banning biological men from competing against biological women. His Doge department cut billions in wasteful spending. And speaking of the economy, wages are now rising faster than the rate of inflation for the first time in in 40 years. Not to mention that his pro-energy policies mean nobody's talking about all these dopey climate change initiatives anymore. But for all the great things Trump did, his biggest contribution was showing the country that elected officials can work fast on our behalf if they actually feel like doing it. We have never had a president work harder.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects. The name you can trust.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, when would this have been? Mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I was like, I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This is News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, and we're proud to be the official winter weather source for News Talk STL. The First Alert Weather Team is working hard to keep you ahead of the big weather changes and help you plan your day. So stay connected this winter with Channel 4 and News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
I didn't even catch this yesterday. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of President Trump being in office this time around. Yeah. So he was sworn in 1 year ago yesterday. I didn't even catch it.
Well, further than that, too, I did not even know this was a thing, but apparently back in 2017, to honor his first inauguration, he made a proclamation for National Patriotic Day or something of that nature.
Like a
Day of Patriotic Duties or something like that.
Devotion
devotion. That's what it was.
Is that what? Okay, so it was what now?
So it was a proclamation. I don't know legally what that means.
Well,
but
they're just statements. They're not
so
like a resolution.
And he said that from now on, this was January 20th, 2017.
So the 1 year mark of his first term.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that it's such a momentous occasion that it'll from now on be referred to as a National Day of Patriotic Devotion, and had this huge thing about the importance of America and what it means and the liberation from the deep state and all that stuff. And I had not even noticed that until yesterday. There was a White House official press release saying, "Hey, by the way, guys, it's National Day of Patriotic Devotion." I was like, "What is
He's
this?"
got kind of an ego. Devotion to
patriotic.
Let's not gonna make somebody mad here. just saying. Okay, but it was the 1 year, and of course he did. He did a press conference and going off on. A long string of, here are the accomplishments here, that sort of thing, which is a very, very Trumpy thing, to do. Is very expected. Certainly there's been a lot that has been accomplished. There's still some things that I just disagree with him on, but you can't take away a lot of the accomplishments that have happened, and while you critique the things that I think should have been done differently, or I just have a different viewpoint on. So, you can't deny that he's been one of, if not the most impactful presidents, and then you can debate whether you agree or disagree with that. And that's just kind of why I take the approach of let's just call balls and strikes. I think he's right sometimes. Occasionally, I think he's wrong. But that's what we should be doing with everybody. I do. I think the majority of the time, Governor Keogh is right. Occasionally, I think he's wrong. I think he's spot on with his effort to reduce taxes and asking for $600 million of spending to be cut. I didn't agree with him on the stadium stuff. So nobody is 100% right or wrong on everything. So here's the thing: is maybe that 1 year anniversary, that might have been why a bunch of these leftist groups wanted big protest yesterday. I mean, were they aware of that, or was it there's something else that sparked it, or they just needed something to do on a Tuesday?
It would make sense.
Yeah.
If you were correct about that. However, I'm not entirely certain that these people have that forward level of thinking to actually do it that way.
I do this for a living. I think it was even after the show, and I'm doing the show post-production stuff over there at my desk. And then I saw somebody mention on social media, I'm like, oh, that was today? I didn't even notice. I do this for a living in conservative media, for crying out loud. So yesterday was just like, hey, it's today, it ends in the Y. Let's go protest. I mean, is that basically what they were trying to do?
I mean, essentially, maybe this is just their ways of hanging out and yelling about, screaming into the void with a group of people, and then they're just calling it some other things to make it sound more significant than it really is.
So they wanted everybody to get up and walk out of whatever they're doing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For what reason? Because essentially, at least around St. Louis, doesn't look like hardly anybody did it.
Yeah, and so the article that you had about the St. Louis specific one, it does not appear that this group was actually related to the walkout. This might have just been a group of people that...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was a couple viral videos, but the one that got the most engagement, it has like 5 or 6 very generic, stereotypically looking liberal guys and gals, or they, thems, whatever they call
If you can tell the difference.
Yeah, it's all one hodgepodge of the same generic person, but they were essentially calling for this walkout to, one, disrupt normal working business and show what it's like to, you might be working with an immigrant, not specifying illegal, but you might be
they've
working...
done the day without the immigrant things before.
So it's like a repeat of that, but then they also are combining it with trying to put pressure at government buildings directly to the representatives, whoever you are, I guess, are closest to put pressure on them to let them know that you are not okay with ICE activities as ICE continues to, target other communities with a high illegal immigrant presence, and
which, by the way, is coming to St. Louis.
Yeah,
the ICE. There have been 18-wheelers with the double stacked beds of ICE like SUVs spotted on I-70. I mean, they're headed this way.
And then it was also outrage over the fact that Renee Good was.
Yeah, which I mean, even in here in the metro area, Madison County. Their county board, the county board there in Madison County, is going to be voting on or considering a resolution tonight in honor of Renee Good. And this is being promoted by the Madison County Democrats, and somebody who's obviously a Democrat is proposing this. And it was kind of weird because, first of all, I don't think every local government does its community good by delving into every national thing.
Yeah,
I've been elected to local office. I've been on a board of aldermen. I've been in office. I don't think that every local government needs to have a foot in every single lane. And for instance, part of what the Democrats in Madison County, Illinois, are arguing is, well, one of the others put forth a Charlie Kirk resolution, and they didn't give everybody time to debate it, and so now we're putting together a Renee Good resolution. At least you get time to talk about it. Well, okay, that part may be valid, but why polarize your local community when we all have the ability to engage at the national level anyway? I don't know why that would be in the best interest of a local government just to get into that stuff. But there's activists on generally the left. There were a lot on the right. I mean, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they wanted things named after Charlie Kirk. They wanted, days of memorial. Okay, that's your right to demand that stuff. From the perspective of being in that county office or that city office or that library board or whatever the case is, you're going to piss off half the people in your community. So why? Why don't you say, you know what, hey, this is something that, the federal level and the people at the national level and the advocacy groups and they're so much better equipped to do this so everybody can do this. We don't need to get into absolutely everything, and that's the only thing. It's not even so much that, Renee Good put herself in that position. I think it's a tragedy, but being a tragedy doesn't mean everybody is mourning something as cold-hearted as that sounds. Charlie Kirk, a tragedy, but they are not moral equivalents. by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a matter of, well, he put himself in that position. Well, he did go out to engage people who disagreed with him and have those debates and conversations. So if by that, then sure, but what he was doing was having ideological discussions that he was highly skilled at doing. Renee Good ran a vehicle right at a law enforcement officer after trying to disrupt their legal operations. So there's no moral equivalence that they're trying to make out there in Madison County.
Well, and the interesting thing to me as well is when you look at the actual map of ICE activity, I mean, Texas has by far the largest amount of deportations.
Which makes sense.
And you don't hear about the people of whatever the blue cities, I always get them confused, but the blue cities in Texas, you don't hear them going out and causing problems and all this chaos going on. Minnesota, I don't even think is in the top 5 or 6, but they are clearly engaging in activities that are endangering their own communities and making a huge fuss about it to get national attention.
How much do you think this is about distracting from the fraud thing?
I would almost, I'm not a betting guy, but
yeah,
I
mean,
would be willing
like,
to put money on that.
Yeah, they could be going, I mean, it could be two separate things that are happening. But once the fraud thing was exploding everywhere, and even a lot of Democrats and centrists are going, wait a minute, you're taking how much of my money? Wait a minute, this is what? And then you find out this could be going on in Illinois. This could be going on in California, New York. This could be going on in Wisconsin. This could be, and then, we have the blow-ups. So it could be correlation. It could be one trying to cover up on the other, but they're not stopping investigations into the fraud. They're just getting it off the headlines. I don't know what the benefit of that would be because we all know it's still there. But then you can also say all of this chaos right now is also causation or correlation. It's also distracting us from the question is, where are the rest of the Epstein files? And what about the ones that you blacked out hundreds of pages? So maybe that has nothing to do with it. But I know there's lots and lots of people, they can juggle these things all at the same time. And so that's the trap that we tend to get drawn into, is to say, this is going on. It's important, but we can also make sure that we look back and go, okay, what about this? Okay, there's the big thing right now. We're on it. Hey, don't forget about this. We can do that too.
Well, and I think that's where it's not just the responsibility of the media, but for people's own personal media consumption habits. Because I think that in the case of the Minnesota fraud, I mean, even Tim Walz himself, I believe, was one of the people saying, yes, like we've investigated. There is billions in fraud going on that we should have done more about, and all the whistleblowers, everything. So that's a matter of fact. You can't, even if you are a anti-never Trumper, anti-conservative, you're all bad people, you have to still acknowledge that the people that are on your side are the ones that are bringing
they don't have to do that.
Whereas with,
to be intellectually honest, they would have to.
If you were being a serious person and you didn't have too much glyphosate in your system, then yeah. But on the opposite end of that, with this sort of thing, it is, even though the facts are more leaning towards the credibility of our views of things, there is still a way of twisting that to make it contentious, and people are they're drawn to things where they can get involved and stoke the flames, whereas when it's cut and dry, you can't really do a whole lot about that.
Okay, what's the next big thing it's going to break? Hey, what do you think? All right, so it was fraud, then it was ICE and illegal immigration, then it was storming a church. All right, what's the next crazy thing that's going to happen?
They're going to revoke Ilhan Omar's citizenship and
Okay,
deport her. Now, I'm
okay,
going to say that
okay.
that's going to be
All right,
a talking point by the end of the year.
All right. Jerome has put his flag on that one right there. All right, we got a few minutes left here. What do you think is going to be the next big thing? Let's hear the predictions. Be they serious? I think this could happen, or otherwise as well.
And while we're asking that question, I'd also like to ask all of you for your 80s Flashback Friday bump music requests. Get them into me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On Newstalk STL.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fence Works. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, We offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too. And we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
JC's Wayback Machine.
We're doing something nobody in St. Louis radio is doing. We play hundreds of songs you know and love, but that have been squeezed out by the corporatized big station owners. Plus, this week's A-List interview is with the one and only Casey Kasem.
Is Don on the phone?
Somebody get Don on the phone before he loses it. Great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Colombo and Company.
Business is starting to pick up in Jeff City with the 2026 session. We'll get you the latest Wednesday when we talk to Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, plus Danny Define and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, I want to wrap up with something pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
We've been talking that, Carlos Beltran elected to the Hall of Fame. Only one of two players. Now, he was only a Cardinal for a couple of years. He was a pretty impactful player, while he was here. I think a lot of people were sorry to see him go. Played for the Cardinals in 2012 and 2013 over the course of a really long major league career, and he was only one of two players who were elected and will be enshrined in Cooperstown. So there's great that there's a St. Louis connection there, without a doubt. But here's what's fun about this. And I think it's been a good hour and a half since I played this. There's a lot of people may not have heard this yet. What happens is, and if you've been with us all morning long, bear with me as I kind of give the 30-second cliff notes of this again. Is if you're on the ballot, you could be elected. They tell you, okay, we're going to be calling people at around this time, so they can get their friends and their family to sit around and wait and see if he gets a phone call. Well, Carlos Beltran obviously got the phone call, and somebody there, family or friend, was rolling a video with it. They had their camera on, and so we actually got to see when Carlos Beltran found out the news that he had been elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And here's how that went.
Hello, Carlos.
Yes, John, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm here with a few folks who wanted to say hello.
Carlos, this is Jack O'Connell with Baseball Writers Association of America.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Calling you from Cooperstown. Baseball writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame.
And it probably partly because I am such a baseball guy, but even if you're not, I mean, come on, how can you not love that?
There is something so pure about the raw expression of joy for somebody being recognized for their achievements.
What was kind of cool is that his wife was sitting right next to him, And you can see when the call came in, she just closed her eyes and she was like, I don't know if she was praying, if she was bracing herself, but you could see she wanted this for him as much as he wanted this for himself. And like, that was kind of heartwarming as well, just to watch that,
And I think you mentioned earlier that he was approaching the 10-year dead mark for
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
So this was,
I think this was his 9th year.
Yeah. So this was coming very close to the point where you just know you're not going to ever get that call. And that must have really made it even more special.
Yeah, because see, that's what happens is after so many years of retiring, you're eligible to be on the ballot. You've got to be nominated, but you can be on the ballot 10 years. But if you're not elected in that, then you're done. You're not eligible anymore, and unless there's like some other category or something, or you become a manager and get nominated for that. But I think this was one of his last years. It may have been his 9th year. So he would have had one more year to get voted. You have to have 75% of the vote. And he made it, he and Andrew Jones made it. But those are the types of videos that I love to see, because I know that you should not be looking at your phone when you go to bed.
Yes.
I mean, literally just like the type of light comes in, stimulates your brain. It makes it harder to go to bed.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're going to scroll on something, that's what I would love to see more in the evening after I'm sort of, tuning out. And so having that kind of stuff was just kind of it's the kind of like purity that we need in all these times of chaos right now.
Yeah, earlier we were also discussing about with the protesters maybe coming up with an app for them. Maybe we could find somebody to make, I hate to call it this, like a safe space for only feel-good content. So that way you can have, share these happy, positive moments.
I'm sure there are accounts out there that do that.
Well, there are accounts that, but the issue with that is I've been testing this on every social media I'm on, and the people that I follow and interact with the most are oftentimes not the ones that I'm seeing the most consistently.
Yeah.
It is the whatever metadata is being attributed to me that they think you should be shown this instead.
Yeah, see, and on X or Twitter in particular, this drives me nuts because there's the for you and then there's the following.
Yes.
Now, I just click on the following. I want to hear from and see the accounts that I've chosen to follow. Every once in a while, X just decides, no, we're switching you over to the other feed. And then if I find myself like, why am I seeing this crap? Oh, they switched me over again. I don't want that. I want this. And so, but the marketing happens and they've got to get, videos and comments and they got to get their advertisers in front of it. But you got to watch it because if you find yourself if you find your blood pressure starting to go up and you're really ticked off with what you're seeing, look to make sure that you're following who you choose to follow, not what Elon and his team think you should be following.
And that's a good point as well, is that so there are account tags at both X and Facebook and Instagram. And those are the main 3 that I'm on, but that you can see how not the program, but the site itself has identified your account and uses that to figure out what to show you and what to hide from you. And there are ways that you can readjust that so that way you actually get to see the content. There are people where I was very active in talking in X spaces with them and found out I thought they unfollowed me. It turns out that I'm just not being shown their posts, even though they're posting consistently.
Now, on Facebook, you can actually X out and tell them, give them feedback like, no, I don't like this. You can actually do that. Something you can give them a reason, you can not give them a reason, and that's probably really helpful for them and you, so they can direct stuff to you that you would want to see or more likely to see. And if you don't like it, click on the little thing and say, I'm not into it.
Now, what I'm proposing, though, is a dedicated platform specifically only with the feel-good stuff, so that way you don't have to worry about the algorithm playing tricks on you.
Okay.
You just know when I log in, I don't have to look up, wholesome, happy videos online. I just know I'm going to be shown just the happy, feel-good moments.
Susie is going to get golden retriever videos,
and Hallmark highlights.
Hallmark highlights. I'm going to get baseball and rock music and what are you going to get?
I don't think the content that makes me feel good would end up on that site. But
okay.
I would probably say anything to do with fostering or adoption of animals or children. I always think that those are just very precious.
Oh, yeah. Because we were talking earlier, what are the videos that you like? And there were some great answers. So if you want to check on the Rumble chat box, there's probably some on the Facebook comments as well. The Rumble chat box is going to go away in about a minute and a half. So check that out if you want to do that. You can keep commenting on the show, on this particular show, for as long as you want on Facebook. Or even post some of those in the comments. That would be fun.
Yeah, just don't be a knucklehead and you won't See the wrath of the Get Up crew.
Yeah, that is. But it's kind of funny because we got some folks who are obviously on the left and Facebook in particular, and they're always debating but you know what? Okay, that's what shows like this are for. I got no issue with it. I sometimes I can go back and look at the Facebook. I don't get to see the Facebook a lot. I watch some of the others, but I'm like, hey, you're arguing, they're debating. Just keep it above the belt.
Okay, so this is like my weird tick, though. So as somebody that actually had to take academic level writing courses and understand all of that and how to read studies and all that, I can handle people disagreeing with me, and I can handle people that want to propose different ideologies or different ideas to it. When you don't refute anything I actually say and you just default to insulting me or you rely too much on fallacies, then gloves are coming off, man. I can't help that.
Yeah. We had that. Somebody on Twitter dug into us over the Shannon Adcock spot. And it turns out that he's like, oh, I didn't realize you were in St. Louis. He thought we were somewhere else in the country and just picking on his state. And then to his credit, he owned up to it. And when I looked at his account, because I was off Twitter for hours yesterday.
That's probably why you're more mentally adjusted than I am.
Right. Well, I had meetings. I had other stuff going on. And then I go log on and I've got this alert with all of these notifications. I'm like, what just happened? And then you and Susie took him to task. And to give him credit, he went, I effed around. I found out I was wrong. So you know what? And I looked at him. It looks like he's very, very libertarian. So he's actually probably in the sphere of being one of us.
Well, I cyberbullied him and gave me an interview, so we're going to have that discussion this weekend.
Okay.